Player 2 has joined the game.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 125 of the Two Player Co-op Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts here, Kevin, along this week with my brother from my other mother, Logan Wilkinson is here, everybody.
Hey, hi, it's me. Thank you for having me, Kevin.
I miss you, dude. It's been way
too long.
Way too long. Because I think the last time we did one of these was after KFL 3, right?
Yeah, it was. God, yeah, it was. That's wow.
Because you were in town for the first episode we did around, not this, but this table, when we did the new table, and I think that was like episode 74, maybe. It was 73.
Right before. It was May of 2017 was when that one was.
Okay. So it's been a long time. Then we did the KFL 3 recap after that. And it's been way too long.
Yes,
so if you're not aware, obviously, typically Sean's here. You know, he had a baby and did all that stuff. If you watched last week.
Living a life, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's got to do the whole parent thing and all that. Kira's perfect. She's just, again, like, I don't want to turn this into like a uncle gushing podcast, but man, it's
those baby pics though.
She's so cute. She's so cute. And Sean is so happy. And it's just like, as a big brother, it just absolutely warms my heart to see him with Kira. It's like, I mean, I've got 4 kids of my own, so I know what it's like. It is what it is. But like, to see your little brother with their baby, whether it's pictures or it's in person and everything, it's just, and to hear him talk about her, it's awesome.
Brittany basically like uploaded like an album on Facebook and was just like, oh man, like these are, all right, I'm feeling it now.
Yeah, it's got me all in the feels. So Sean's taking a few weeks off. He may be back next week. He may not. I don't know. I've got a guest lined up for next week if he's not back. But we'll let you know sooner than later about that. But if this is the first time you're seeing us, this is the Two Player Co-op Podcast. We thank you guys so much for watching. If this is the first time you're seeing us, make sure if you're hearing us or whatever, however you're seeing us, go to youtube.com/2playercoop, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on the video, share the video and the channel with your friends and family. It would mean a lot to us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs this year.
Where are you at right now?
We're at about 785, give or take.
Okay.
Something like that. We slowed down a lot over this last year because thanks YouTube for changing all your policies, changing your algorithm, changing your monetization. So like, obviously we're not going to show up in search if we're not monetized, because why would they show our videos? Because we're not making them any ad money. So thanks YouTube. That's awesome.
So if you know about it,
no, perfectly fine. It's fine. They're holding like 75 of our dollars behind the paywall because we were monetized until a year ago, and then they screwed us over. Which is all we've ever invested in this channel, right? Not like 1,000 or something. But yeah, so make sure you like the video, subscribe, all that other stuff. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs this year. I think we're going to hit it.
I do.
God willing, we're going to hit it. Also, if you're not aware, Kind of Funny is running their Kind of Funny Up and Comer contest. Go to kindoffunny.com/up and comer. Submit us if you haven't already. Logan, do you know how long Greg's keeping this open? Or like when they're going to decide a winner or anything? Okay. I wasn't sure if they had announced anything about that, but
I haven't seen anything from Greg. From what I've talked to Joey about it, I haven't seen anything either. No, I don't know. I know that they're going to pick 2 people now, so I mean 2 different kind of things.
Yeah.
I got that. So vote for, Kev and Sean to play co-op, and then also just come over to irrationalpassions.com, vote for us as well.
Yes, I want to talk about that in a second because you guys are making moves over there. Also, we have a merch store if you weren't aware. If you want to get a sweet shirt like this, go to teespring.com/stores/2playercoop. Go over there. It makes us a tiny bit of money, which we invest back into ourselves. Like I said, it's not like we spent $1,000 on this channel or anything. Nah. Maybe we did. We also have a Twitch page, but I'm going to stop promoting that until we actually start using it.
Hey,
but
I did.
You guys know it if you've been
see somebody play PUBG there, and it was pretty great. So I'm just saying,
I got a kill. I got a kill.
I found that on like pop up in my like YouTube recommended like videos, and so I watched it clip again the other day. And I was like, man, it is such a good like 40 seconds. Like the highs and lows of life all encapsulated in like that one 40-second clip.
So I don't know if you got to watch or listen to us last week, but that was one of the things. So like Adam here at Nerd Out One asked, because I did a Q&A episode because I was doing a solo podcast, which was super stressful. So thank you to everybody that sent in questions, and thank you to everybody that actually watched or listened because that was super stressful. But that was one of the questions: was what is the genre you've never been able to get into? And for me, it's turn-based RPGs and it's online shooters / battle royales. Like I thought PUBG was going to be the one I could get into. There's no building, there's nothing extraneous. It's just third-person Call of Duty. You land, you find your loot, you get your stuff, you go, you hide in bush, do whatever you got to do. But it's like even that didn't click with me. But yes, you are 100% right. That clip sums up me in online shooters 100% because it's like, oh my god, I got to kill and I'm dead. Well, shit. Okay,
not to immediately derail this podcast. Like, we never do that here. Yeah, but like I think the game for that for you is what the game for that for me was, which is Apex, right? Where it's like, I didn't play Fortnite, I didn't play PUBG. It was like, these are not going to be games for me, right? And I'm not really here for that, but it's like, Apex is great. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. Like, when we get in with this podcast, I want to play Apex if I can. Like, and like tomorrow is obviously Sunday, so like I'm going to be off, and like I just want to play Apex for as much of tomorrow as I can. I already messaged you before, like we need to squad up. I haven't got my win yet. I'm not bitter about it. I've got second place like 7 times. I'm not upset about it. I'm not angry about it. Me and Jared in particular squad up a lot, and we keep getting second, and it's really it's a whole thing.
See, I'll just bring y'all down. Like I've played like 3
literally impossible. We haven't won yet. No. We have nowhere to go but up.
Well, I mean, I've never won. It's funny. So my kids were watching me. It was like my 4th game that I had played, I think, and I was going through it and everything, and it just seems like it takes forever to get to somebody, but we finally got somebody, we engaged them, they were pinging them and doing all this, and I'm like, I know I'm peppering this guy, and then I die and nobody revives me and whatever. And then it gets to the end of the match and it's like, damage done, 0. I'm like, I am absolutely 100% worthless. I can't do anything in this stupid game. I just suck. But like I've always said about battle royales, if I can squad up with people that I actually know, then I would probably have fun.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
So I'm not giving up on Apex yet. I'm not giving up on it yet. But when I've been playing with randos, I'm horrible.
I mean, like I've made it a thing where like I haven't played a single game where I don't know at least one of the people, right? Where it's either me or Jarrett playing, or me and Scott playing, or me, Jarrett, Scott, me, Jarrett, Quinn. Like I've just been teamed up with the IP boys again and again and again because it's real good. In that way, it's real good, right? And like one of my favorite like gaming moments so far this year is me and Jared. And like I pull a classic Greg Miller style gameplay when I drop into Apex. I'm like, all right, where are people not at? That's where we're going to be at.
Yep.
Avoid the people as much as possible. And so like I directed us down into like a little thing, and me and Jared got the other guy person like immediately died or whatever. And so it was me and Jared, and we landed in a building immediately, like on the kind of the corner of the map. And as the circle got smaller and smaller, we were still good until literally it was 3 squads left, and the circle was our building. It was just the building that was it.
My God.
And I was like, we didn't move the entire game and got second place, and we had 1 firefight the entire game. We lost, obviously, because we didn't win.
Yeah.
But it was like such a fantastic, like awesome that we just got to stay in that one building the entire time and have it locked down.
I'm pretty sure the only times I've gotten top 10 in PUBG was when I did that exact philosophy. Like I landed at the perfect spot. I got some decent weapons. I remember one time I went up in a building and there was only one way to get in. And I was looking down the stairs. There was a door, there was a window over here, and a guy jumped through the window, scared me half to death, but he jumped through the window. He kind of stumbled and I just went, killed him, looted him. I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to move. Hopefully nobody heard that, and nobody heard it, and I just stayed there until it was like top 10. Then when I actually had to move, somebody was like, oh, hey, noob, dead. I'm like, well, whatever.
Yeah, like I ain't trying to be Rambo here. I'm trying to win. I want to win, especially now where it's like I've gotten second and third and fourth so much. It's like I want to win Apex. I don't care if I get 1, 7, whatever kills. Realistically, it's going to be like 1 kill probably. But like I just want to win the game and get that W. I mean, a chicken dinner.
I've never gotten a chicken dinner, and I probably never will, but I'm not going to stop. I'm never going to stop trying. But you did mention IP. Logan,
I did.
Talk to me about IP. Y'all got new people.
Yeah, it's true.
How's Input Pod going? How's everything going over there at Irrational Passions?
Yeah, so irrationalpassions.com / go check it out. I mean, it's funny too, because since the last time that I was on this pod, we've had 4 new people join the site. Obviously, because last year Mike, Scott, and Quinn all joined, and then this year, with this month, like time was a circle, but I think it was 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. Jessica joined, which was very exciting. And so it's been absolutely bonkers. And that's the thing, like, especially like getting to catch up with you really in depth, because both of our two respective kind of entities here have like changed so much in the last 15 months, whatever it has been. So gosh, now Input is at episode 80. They celebrated this past week without me. I wasn't on because it was Valentine's Day. And so that was episode 80. So we're 20 episodes away from 100 for Input. IPP, Irrational Passions podcast, has eclipsed 500 episodes now.
My God, that's crazy.
Alex has been doing that since the summer of 2010.
Wow.
When he was 17 years old in high school and senior
senior
old. In high school. It's my favorite thing. If this is your first episode of Two Play Co-op Podcast, which I hope it is, just going in blind like this, just know a few important things. One, Kevin is a proud member of Team Old. He tries to fight against it, but he just in his heart he knows it. And me and Sean are keeping down Team Young hard.
Sean's not even Sean's a dad now. By the way, now that Sean is a dad and he's 34, you can't be Team Young if you're 34 and a dad. One or the other, maybe, but not both. No way.
It's a lifestyle. Okay, it's a lifestyle, not a number. All right, that's what it is. I'm 27 years old now too, which is a weird thing. I'm now officially in my late 20s now. It's a whole reckoning I'm going through here in the last month that I've been 27. That's what's happened in the last 15 months as well. But no, yeah, like IP is crazy. We obviously like Video Game Book Club. We started that last year. The kind of seasonal shows we've done, Input, just trucking along, doing really fun, goofy, dumb stuff with that. Usually whenever George isn't there, because then we can break the rules, me and Jarrett. But yeah, it's crazy. And then 2018 in particular was, I think, a transitional growing pains year in a lot of ways, right? It was us almost doubling in size, and it was me, Jarrett, and George, I would say mostly, or me, Alex, and George. Jarrett is a perfect human being, so just knows that what's stuff going on because he's an actual adult. But it was me, Alex, and George kind of figuring out like these more leadership things and kind of having to be actual like senior staff people for like a thing and edit stuff and be in charge of like schedules and these kind of things and other people's responsibilities, and figuring that out and figuring our own roles out within the dynamics and the newer people's things. And I think there were growing pains in that, there was friction in that, there's tension in that, like there is, I think, in any project. I mean, obviously, but I think 2019, I keep every tweet you see about anything, I keep saying goat year, man. It's just gonna be the goat year. It's just gonna happen. Like I firmly believe that for you, for me, for Sean, he's off to a head start here.
Yeah, he's having
Sean's off to a head start here. Everybody here.
Yeah, I can't top it. I'm done having babies. I physically can't.
Yeah, and so for everybody, for Alex, for Greg, for Joey, for anybody, it's goat year. It's what it is. And so I think we have that kind of year now of actually managing a team and having a team, and not just be like the four of us. And everybody kind of have their own roles. And like, I think it's a relaunch in a way of IP. If you want to call it that, or like a rebranding, right? Like that's what the Meet IP, like Twitter thing we did. Was kind of to reintroduce.
That was cool.
Yeah. People really liked that when I was happy with that. That was a really good idea George had. And kind of reintroduce ourselves, but in particular to reintroduce, or to, I guess, introduce for the first time, like the newer people, right? Obviously like Quinn, Mike Scott, who are significantly less known, and then Jess too, who also just got brought on, and to kind of promote them. It was cool to see like the interactions of that, right? Like Eric Sapp, who works at IGN, like loved that and kept commenting on like all the different things. And it was I think a lot of just really positive things from that and from the things we're doing. And February in particular is like our kind of funny day, but spread out over like a month, where it's just kind of like getting ready to launch different things and do different things, right? Like we're going to start doing video essays. We're going to start doing, we're going to restart Video Game Book Club, which I guess we already have now after Game of the Year and that. And then it's learning the lessons from the past few years, right? So like we're going to be doing Extra Life different than we have for the past 3 years. We're going to be doing Game of the Year different this December than we have from years past. Game of the Year has been an evolution anyway, but it's exciting. Be excited. PAX East 2019, Irrational Passions. Every member of the editorial staff will be there for the first time. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to be rolling very deep, all 8 of us.
That's awesome. Is it March, right?
The end of March. We're like 5 weeks away. I should buy my plane tickets. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Nobody let me forget. But yes, it is the end of March. It's PAX East. And then we're rolling with videos and new shows and new content and getting people out there, shaking hands, kissing babies, doing all the good stuff. And just go, yeah, man. All the good feels. We're here for it at irrationalpassions.com.
Awesome. I love it. I love everything you're doing over there. I love anytime you post something that's the written word or it's a podcast or whatever. I try to keep up with them as much as I can, but it's just,
we do so much content at IP. It is absolutely overwhelming. I mean, like the encapsulation of that for me is Game of the Year, right? Where we did IPP does its yearly 5-day extravaganza, and then this year editorial staff did its own thing for the first time, which I've been pushing for years. And so that was in itself a 4-day thing. Then we also did our written top 10s for all the staff. And then we also did the video kind of tribute to Spider-Man, which is our Game of the Year, spoiler alert. That is like one of the single proudest things I feel from all the years with IP. Like
it was super cool. So, the production value and everything. It was pretty sweet.
And getting the VO from all of us except for Jarrett, who boycotts Game of the Year, and getting in the gameplay and having me and Alex kind of intro and outro it, and like what everybody kind of wrote for it. Like it is what the dream that me and Alex each have for IP of it, like being like it is a team, and that video to me is production quality. We like. In the same vein of like an IGN Game of the Year, like rap. I
agree.
That's like literally the inspiration.
It reminded me of IGN is what I thought.
That's totally what I was like. I was like, this is what I imagined like the video from The Last of Us when they did, and like the one they did for like God of War, the one they did for this, that, like that was totally the inspiration. Like we're again here at Irrational Passions, we are very obvious. In fact, we just rip off people's ideas and just do it on our own thing. And so that was like, this is what like I'd want to do for years, and doing it like that, and it coming off so good because Mike is an ungodly talented video producer. Like that's just what he does so well. It was great. And so, yeah, like that's it. And something exciting for me personally, selfishly, narcissistically is, getting to go back to like writing again about games and doing it more than I did last year, which really is coupled with like just falling in love with the games again. Right. Cause like I've talked a little bit about like nothing really clicked with me in 2018 in terms of games. Which is like
I know you said the God of War was your game of the year, but it wasn't like a world beater for you when I read your Game of the Year stuff.
Yeah. And so like that was like I literally said it where it's like for Greg, it's like arguably his new favorite game of all time, right? And for like Trevor Starkey, who's one of my very best friends too, it's like arguably his new favorite game of all time too. And like just the entire industry obviously like adores and loves that game, and we'll literally get to that later in this episode. But like God of War for me was like, it's a very great video game, but I don't love it as much as everybody else. And then on the flip side of that is the fact that like at IP, I liked it more than anybody else. So I was in this weird thing where it's like in the larger industry, I didn't like it as much as anybody else. And then within the site, I had to like defend it. And it was like, oh, it's a weird, I don't really feel good in either one of these things. And that was a game I felt the best about. And then like I said it literally in that top 10 piece where I was like, in any of the year, maybe 2 or 3 of these games are on a top 10 list. Like I was like, I don't like, nothing clicked. There was no game that I just loved. Right. And like, maybe it's the fact that the previous 2 years were such world beaters for me in particular, right? Where like 2016 was Uncharted 4. It was this game that like was a culmination of a 10-year journey basically. And then last year was 2017 was maybe the best year for video games I've ever, like 2017 was fucking bananas. Bleep that out, I guess, but it was bananas, and it was so good, and it was such a like top bottom. It was an amazing list. Like shout out to Sonic Mania, fam. It was good. It was the best Sonic game ever made.
There's no, it's not even. I mean,
there's no doubt. There's absolutely no question. Yeah, it was the best Sonic. We'll just have a Sonic. We'll just rank all the Sonic games podcast later on. But it was so good. And the fact that like that and like What Remains of Edith Finch, which like obviously I could bang a drum about every day of my life and be happy. And the fact that that didn't win my game of the year out of nowhere, because in December that year, on the recommendation of Alex and Jared, I played Hellblade, and that game like blew. I have no adjective to describe it, like blew me away. Right, like Hellblade became instantly like one of the 3 best games I've ever played. Like in terms of like the emotional impact it had on me, like Hellblade messed me up, fam.
Yeah,
it's such a good game, and it's such a great like audio design and oh, come on, get out of here, Hellblade. And so like the past years were such like boom games, and then 2018 was like nothing was really clicking. It was the stress of just like everything with IP. It was I moved across the country. Sport like I did that since we last had a podcast. I live in Austin, Texas now, and so just like
probably my favorite city in this entire just world. I must say,
Austin's great. Austin's pretty dope. Yeah, and so it was just like a crazy, and it was very much like a down year in terms of just like my connection with games and my connection with just like the larger industry. And so like it was great for game of the year, and then like the kind of conversations we had behind the scenes at IP, it just be like, GOAT year, we're doing it this year, it's gonna be great, we're gonna be writing, we're gonna be doing podcasts, we're gonna be doing shows, we're gonna be doing videos, we're gonna be doing streams and let's plays and so many things that we can talk about behind the scenes but not here, and just be excited. Is very exciting. GOAT year for IP, GOAT year for 2-Play Co-op, GOAT year for Kevin, GOAT year for Sean, GOAT year for Logan, GOAT year for you, the listener, John Bernardo, maybe. You know what I mean? Canada's got things I'm sure that are exciting. Snow.
So Bernardo, I didn't mean to make you so sad and jealous, Jennifer Aniston.
I meant it. Whenever.
But okay, so speaking of GOAT year and speaking of games of the year, I want to talk Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, let's do it.
So again, so going back to 2017. So 2017 started so hot for me with RE7. Which I loved, probably 2/3 of it, 3/4 of it, whatever I would say. Once I got to the end, yes, you didn't hate the end as much as I did. You actually you liked the end.
My least favorite part. I like the last act a little bit more than the middle act.
So the first hour was perfect.
Yeah, period. That whole first act is flawless. It is a masterpiece.
Unbelievable, just unbelievable. Yes. And I got to get it back, Paul Schifani. I got to get back from. I lent my game for Extra Life, and I got to get it back because they were going to do VR and Extra Life, and I got to get it back. But
putting a pin on this real quick. Yes. Congratulations on Extra Life. Yes, absolutely smashed your you killed Extra Life this past year.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah.
The first year us doing it, and I wish I could have been there more.
It's a ton of fun, right?
Yeah, we were there for 7 or 8 hours. As of every stream, unless you do this professionally, we had some major issues a few hours in, which is going to happen.
IPs was a disaster. It totally just imploded. It was
we were both in the same boat. Yeah,
and so but you guys absolutely killed it. I donated money just to put you in pain. Yeah, I regret not a single second of it. Do I have that video on my phone and watch it probably once a week? Yes, probably. It's so good.
I just wonder how much worse the actual ghost pepper would be, because the powder was horrible. Because it's like you go back 10 years or whatever that stupid cinnamon challenge thing was.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember.
So you combine the cinnamon challenge with all this power stuff, and you can't swallow it. You combine that with ghost pepper hotness, and then you have what you saw on Extra Life, and
it was very good. Everybody just go find that video on Twitter, probably. It's so
Sean's got it too. If Sean, you're watching this,
Sean texted me his. I got the OG deep cut behind the scenes look of it.
It was horrible. Thank you for that, Logan. We thank you for your donation. But we
did kill it.
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. We're looking forward again to do it this year.
Extra Life was one of my favorite time periods of the internet, and that's also what there's just something special about Extra Life, where it is that whole kind of team aspect, just spending time together, right? And just being in this cramped space, just having to do dumb shenanigans for 24 hours or even for 7 or 8 hours, but you're just all there together, and it really feels that sense of camaraderie and what you've kind of built together.
Yeah, but it's the camaraderie in the building, but then it's also when you look on Twitter and you see all these people across the, whether it's kind of funny with their hundreds of millions of not hundreds of millions, hundreds of thousands or millions of followers that they have, versus y'all and us and all these other people that we see, and everybody's doing their own thing for Extra Life. It's just so cool. It helps you stay motivated. It helps you raise
absolutely.
Money
it is a awesome. A refueling thing. And even though last year's was probably my least favorite extra life. Last year was a mess. That's another behind the scenes conversation we'll talk about. But like 2017 extra life with Greg and Jen and Joey there.
Oh god, that was awesome.
And Portillo is still to this day probably one of the single 3 or 4 best like weeks of my entire life. Like, it was absolutely like that was where it's like this is what it's all about. Like this has been the dream and like it's happened. Like it's such a great visceral feeling. And the culmination of 2017 was a bananas year, and that was like the culmination of that. And 2019 actually I have plans gonna be pretty good. But anyway, RE7 tangents are going to abound this episode. Just be ready, listener.
Well, let me get one other tangent in there. I think I'm the only one that thinks this way, but I miss babyface Greg Miller. I'm the only one that feels that, I guess. But I miss babyface Greg Miller.
Babyface Greg Miller. I saw a picture of him. I was watching Irrational again recently. I was like, oh, babyface Greg Miller. He's got something to him. He's got some charm to him. Yeah. I don't hate bearded Greg Miller. Obviously, I mean, if you're only watching or only listening to the video or audio and not watching the video, I have a beard. But like, so I can't. Yeah, I'm pretty proud team beard. Sean also has a beard. So maybe it's just like a team young thing. Maybe it's just like a young guy. Only like
just keep it going. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. But like, so I obviously like beards. But Greg, I think there's definitely some like Clark Kent Superman-ness to like having the no beard for Greg that like fits really well. He's like a little bit of a different person with that beard. But Greg's just a beautiful man. I mean, he's comfortable either way. So I'm here for it either way. But yeah, there's definitely some charm, like nostalgia to that clean-shaven Greg face.
I think that's what it is. I think it's for me. I grew up on Colin and Greg on Beyond. I mean, didn't grow up. I was a grown-ass man by that point.
I grew up on them.
Well, yeah, you did. Okay, let's. So, but I fell in love with like video game podcasts and everything, listening to Colin and Greg, and then doing the video portion. And then when they left it, kind of funny. It's just like Greg to me still. When I think of Greg Miller, I think I still think of babyface Greg Miller. So it's just weird for me. It's been a year with a beard now, but still,
I definitely still think of the babyface Greg Miller when I think of Greg. Like it's still definitely that image of me, right? I'm like, especially like I had some sort of conversation. Just tangent stores. I had some sort of conversation with somebody where like I mentioned like old school Beyond, where it was like Greg, Colin, like Ryan, Powerhouse Clements, and Andrew Goldfarb, right? Like the foursome, like that's like the kind of the golden age Beyond that I grew up with. And it was like, oh right, like they like if you look back at this picture now, it's like, man, they're all so young in these pictures. Yeah, like especially like Goldfarb, who was the youngest to begin with, right? Like
he's still a baby. Yeah,
exactly, right. And so it's like, oh man, like it's such a funny thing where it's like, man, they seem, especially for me, obviously, where they're all older than me. Goldfarb only like a few years, but still. And so it's like, man, like I thought they were so old then, and now it's like I'm their age. Like I'm their age, and it's like, oh man, I gotta like rethink some decisions I've made apparently.
And I could be their dads, basically. That's how old I am.
You are literally you're what, 34, 35?
I'm 37. I think I'm.
So you're younger than Nick. You're a few years older than Greg. Than Nick.
Yeah, Greg, I think is 35 or 36, and Colin's a year younger than him, I think.
Greg is 83. Yeah, Greg is 83, so he'll be next month. He'll be, what is that, 36? Yes.
Yeah, I'm 81 in November, so I'll be 38 November. Dear
and God. Then Nick is 39. And then on the plus side, they're like Andy's only 30. Well, I guess it's a downside. I guess it's the opposite of the plus side.
Andy seems like he's like 23 or something.
Andy is eternally a child.
I love Andy.
I love Andy
much. And he's a good Texas boy, so I love him.
Yeah. And Joey's 30 as well. Cool Greg is my age. He's a 92 kid.
Okay.
And then Barrett is younger than me and Cool.
Yeah, Barrett's like 24, I think, or something.
Yes, 23, 24. I should know this. Barrett, don't be upset at me.
God. I'm so old. I'm so freaking old. It's horrible. So anyway, Resident Evil 7 started off 2017 awesomely.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so I know Horizon's coming out. I know Breath of the Wild's coming out. We thought Odyssey was coming out. We didn't know for sure. I don't think at that point, but
we didn't know for sure yet. No.
Okay, so 2019. I don't know. Even after the direct that just happened, we'll get to that here in a minute. This game. So now I've gone through Leon's A and Claire's B.
Okay.
And it is going to be hard as hell for something to top this game for me. I never played RE2. I think we're both in the same.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Like Sean played it on N64. I think I don't think I ever even touched it.
No.
But But from the first time, like we've been hearing about the RE2 remake since I think 2015 was the shirt that said "We do it" or whatever.
Yeah.
But it didn't get officially announced until last E3 when I predicted RE8, and I was off by a year. It's coming in 20. Well, not a year. You know what I mean? I think I think every 2 years we're gonna go RE7, RE2 remake, and then we're gonna get RE8, and then we're gonna get RE1, 3, 4 remake. One of those.
I think it'll be 4. I don't think you're gonna remake a 3.
For me, I want 4 because I think 4, like I said, like when we've talked about RE2, it's like I think that RE2 plays the way that people think RE4 plays in their mind, like looking back in their mind. But when I played that a couple years
really
ago
interesting.
For the first time, I was like, I see the greatness in this, but I don't like the way you can tell it controls like it's 2005.
Yeah.
If you just did that, you don't need to change anything else. Don't change any enemies. Don't change any enemy emplacements or anything like that. AI, anything. You just update it with RE2's graphics and the RE engine and their control style and everything, and it's freaking one of the best games ever made. Period. RE2,
I've never played RE4.
So. Oh my god, really? So I mean,
I'm one to talk. Resident Evil games I've played are RE7 and RE2 remake. That's the only 2 Resident Evil games I've ever played. I've seen entire playthroughs of RE1, but I've never played it myself.
So I played RE1. We had it on the Saturn. God bless us.
You're such a second nerd.
It's horrible.
You should have let it go way before then, man.
We should have let it go when we bought the 32X used, and it didn't even work. We had to take it back and get a working one. But anyways,
that's the most 32X thing I've ever. It didn't work. That sounds about right for Sega. Oh man,
moment of silence. So I played RE1 a little bit. We owned it on Saturn, but I never. I mean, I did. I played it. I don't even know that I would say extensively, but I played it a decent bit. I never beat it. Sean beat it. It was the whole. Even back then, the tank controls and the fixed camera, I didn't like it. I didn't like the ribbon. Like you couldn't just find a typewriter. What I saved when I beat it with Leon, my playthrough, I think I saved like 70 times. Sean laughed at me. I saved like 30.
I think I had like 39, 40. I saved because I played too many games where it's like, all right, now I've lost like 3 hours, and it's like, nope, not doing that.
See, the thing is, I knew I didn't have to do it, but it's like I would find an item and I'd be like, well, I'm going to run back because I can hear the Titan or the Tyrant walking around over there. I'm just going to run back, save it. Even though once you get to a new area or something, you can see the little save icon over here. It's doing a quick save. I knew I didn't need to, but it was like the OCD in me wouldn't let it go.
What was your letter grade?
B.
That's what I get. I'm happy with the B. B's get degrees, fam. Yeah, like.
I don't know how anybody can beat this game. Like to get the platinum in this, you got to beat it on standard in under 2.5 and on hardcore under 2 hours. There's on both playthroughs. There's literally no way in hell that that's ever going to happen. So I know that I don't even need to try for the platinum.
This was the same for me where it's like, I was like, oh, I could get I'm getting like a lot of trophies. I could get the platinum. And I looked at that. I'm like, all right. Nope. Just nope.
Not happening.
Yep.
But yeah, so I struggled with Claire's B playthrough a little bit at first. The further I got through it, I got some new weapons. I started getting used to her playstyle. It was just weird having like walking into the main hall of the police station, and then you think the desk there's gonna be a safe spot, and it's not a safe spot. So you got to relearn. Like obviously the layout's the same, but there are certain things that are different. A lot of the puzzles are the same puzzles, but there's different ways you got to solve the statues and stuff like that. But once I got a little bit later into the playthrough, I got a couple other weapons and stuff. I freaking loved it from then on. Claire's a badass. Like this game is so good. And Capcom, it's so funny to think like, so 3 years ago, actually today's as we're recording this was when they released Street Fighter V, or actually it might've been yesterday. Yeah. But Street Fighter V came out, and that was when I had at the time my biggest tweet ever. And I said, wait a minute, Street Fighter V doesn't have an arcade mode. I can hear Angry Joe getting ready to do a rant right now. And at that time, I got like 100 likes or something. That was the biggest thing. My phone, I had to turn my phone off because it wouldn't shut up. But it's like to go from that, and Street Fighter V turned out to be a great game. Like technically and everything, it was awesome. But at the launch, it was definitely half-baked. To go from there to what they RE7 to now RE2 remake, the Mega Man X collection, the Mega Man collection, Devil May Cry 5 is coming out. Like they are the complete and polar opposite of Konami. And it's so funny to go back to when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I could say. Well, no, when I was a kid and up through being a teenager, Capcom and Konami were like the gold standard outside of Nintendo for making games. And Konami doesn't care anymore. Capcom
cares. Though. That's a turnaround,
really care. And I'm so happy that they're doing so well. Yep. I can't wait for RE8. I can't wait for the next Resident Evil remake. Whichever game they make, I'm gonna play it. They have sold me 100% on this series. But Logan, give the listeners and viewers some of your thoughts.
It's interesting for me because I'm traditionally not a huge horror guy. Right? Like it's been like a slow evolution, I would say, for me. Over the past like 5 or 6 years even. But like I am traditionally not a huge horror guy. I don't like scary things or like to pay money to be scared kind of thing. Me too. But then it's also same thing of like, obviously you could see the cracks in that beginning to form as early as like 2013, where it's like my favorite game of all time was The Last of Us. That game is very scary and very tense at times and like very nerve-wracking, and you will sweat. Yeah.
Especially, but it's terrifying in the human. Like I was thinking about that the other day for some reason. I was thinking about like, it is the most terrifying when you're not dealing with clickers and stuff, when you're dealing with humans and cannibals and all this other stuff that Ellie has to go through when it turns to winter and all that. I'm like, that's the most terrifying part of this game.
And like especially because at the time that like, and even still I could argue like that is some of the smartest like enemy AI like you will like enemy AI is so smart and so clever and like the way that like the human AI reacts and like it's absolutely like it's super nerve-wracking and terrifying. And so like it was obviously beginning to change as early as then, but like really the door swung open with RE7, right? The first Resident Evil game I ever played, and just finding myself absolutely in love with that, right? Like I to this day still 2 years later, like that is the single scariest thing I've ever experienced in terms of like movie, TV show, or game. Like RE7 isn't like shredded my nerves. And in particular, like that first act, like the first like 4 or 5 hours of the game where you're in that main Baker residence is like it's a masterpiece. It legitimately is a 10 out of 10 phenomenal piece of game and character design and like world building is so well done. I think the second act slumps and then it gets like really cool again in the last act. That's the hot take, I guess. People don't like the last act. I think it's really clever and cool still. But even throughout, like that whole game is fantastic. And like the testament I gave it in my 2017 IP Game of the Year list was the fact that like I don't like horror games, and this game is third on my list for Game of the Year. And the only reason it's not higher is because one of the games like fucked me up, fam. Hellblade. Sorry again, bleep that out. And one of the games was Or Means to Be Finch, which also like messed me up and like just made me cry. And so it's like, so
me too.
And so it's just like, otherwise it would have probably been like a horror game would have been my Game of the Year. And like you could argue that Hellblade is also terrifying in its own way as well. And actually just, it is terrifying and is also very scary. And so like it's been a slow change, but then get into RE2, it's like, all right, like I reviewed RE2 for IP. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Great. I do not like it as much as RE7.
Okay.
Which is my first thing. I don't think it's a hot take. I think RE7 is like incredible. I think the game's so good. I think Resident Evil 2 is very good. I think it's great. I think for me, I think similarly, I think the first act of RE2 goes on too long. I think you're in the police station too long, ultimately, probably. And like, I'm kind of in the like dog area, like,
oh, those damn dogs, stupid.
That's the worst. That was like maybe all right, tangent, because it's such a good RE2 story. Like, I was like, I hadn't died. I was cruising through this game, doing great, doing everything happy. And then I get into the like kind of basement level where the dogs are. I'm like kind of the cells. And it's that moment where it's like, there are so many. And that's the first time I was like, I'm just going to try to just run past them. And then it led to just like having so many. And like the thing that's awesome, but also like horrible at Resident Evil is that like, if you leave enemies and then go back in the area, they haven't like disappeared. They're still there. And it's like, crap, there's so many dogs all roaming around. And I was like, but I need something in that room because I'm stuck now. So clearly it's like in one of these areas. And so like I literally just like, and I think I had wasted my bullets because I wasn't smart in the beginning of the game and I like shot more than I should have. And so I had like
me too.
I had like one bullet in my gun and a knife that was gonna break the minute it hit anything else. And so I was like, all right, cool. There are like 6 dogs in this one confined area and 3 zombies in like the like right side of the police basement area. And I was like, all right. And so I literally just like ran in and just ran through the whole thing, grabbed what I needed to do, ran out, pushed the guys off, like shot the one, like, and like managed to get out and then back upstairs, pushed the guys who grabbed onto me and like bit me and then pushed them off and into the save room immediately out of the basement and just saved. And I sat there and was like, holy, like I'm sweating. Like I was like, this is just, that was terrifying and awful. And I hated it, but I love it. But ultimately I think the first act probably goes on too long. I think the scariest part of the game is the sewers. That sucks. That was terrifying. Because like the little water monsters.
You start hearing those sounds when they're like,
oh no, sirree, Bob. Like, no. Yeah. And the fact that like it is possible like to slowly walk past them, but the margin of error is so slim that like if you do and then they immediately grab you, I'm jumping out of my seat. It's absolutely terrifying. And like it's like that was just I think the scary high point, along with I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Mr. X, right? And like Tyrant, or like it's just, or Titan, I think it's needed, but like it's such an awesome evolution of what that character was in the original one. And like such an expanded role, and he's just terrifying. Like it is like it's basically use this remix version of like Papa Baker basically
from Mr. Baker,
Baker, yeah. And like I don't think ultimately it's as scary, but it is still just like, oh, it's awful. It sucks.
The thing that's crazy about him, so I saw this the other day, somebody, because once it's out, there's
so many good,
there's so many mods and everything. You see that somebody did the mod where it's like every time he comes in, DMX X going to give it to you place, and that just it horrified me, but it also made me laugh. But then there was also a glitch where 2 of the tyrants
I saw this. I saw this.
If that ever happened to me, I would turn that game off, never play it again.
If that had happened in my game, I'd just been like, well, cool, fam. I guess just wonder how it ends.
Yep, I'm out. I'll YouTube the end. But no, so somebody did a thing where they, you basically make the camera be a free roam. You can go through walls and stuff. And what they found was even if you're not hearing the tyrant once he shows up, if you break through the walls and everything and go through the police station, he's still walking around. Like how you were talking about how the enemies, when you either you kill them or you don't kill them, whatever, they stay in that room. It's the same thing with him. That dude is walking around that police station. He's an actual like thing in this world, and that almost makes him more terrifying. That it's like, no, this dude's walking around. He's looking for you nonstop. It is just, it's just
well,
insane.
And the fact that he'll go into areas that you previously thought were safe, right? Like there's at least one safe room because like the main one in the main hall, but also there's another area, like other areas too that like other zombies won't go in that he'll just plow right past, right? Like there are only like 2 safe rooms and then like the clock tower he won't go in, but otherwise like everyone else, like he'll walk in and he obviously will open doors where other zombies won't. And it's just this constant thing of like, all right, the game has become like a time management sim now where like I just have to like make sure that I'm not spending too much time doing anything. And I wrote about it in my review where it's like there will be because it's a puzzle game too, so like there'll be instances where like you'll do a puzzle or just like kind of wander about and like get lost for a second and be like, all right, cool, like I need to kind of figure my way back out or like knock this puzzle out real quick and be like, wait, I haven't been listening for him. And it's like that moment where it's like always, and then it's like, oh, I can hear him right by, he's so loud now, he's right behind me, and then it just smashes through the door and it's like, gee, like everything's terrible now, right? And it's like
the first time that dude opened a door, I was like, oh my God, this guy can. And I can remember too, I was running around the library one time as Leon, and I was like, oh, okay, if I just go down these, I think I went down the ladder. I was like, he won't follow me. Not only did he follow me, that dude didn't even go down the ladder. He just jumped. And I was like,
jump down.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? And that was the other thing. I played this whole game with my headphones on with my Turtle Beach.
That's the way to do it, yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want like Jess is reading her book or something. I don't want her hearing all these blood curdling screams. But then it's even funnier when I scream at the top of my lungs. She's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, well, look at that thing. But yeah, I mean, this game,
it's great.
It's so good. I love it.
Yeah.
It's definitely not perfect. I think I would, if I had to score it, it'd probably be a 9 for me. One of the things that really annoyed me at first, but then I kind of got over it, was the like you mentioned the breaking knife thing.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, man, I feel like if I've got a knife, because one of the things in like an RE4, you've got a knife and it doesn't break. So you can one of the strategies in RE4 when you play it is in that game, Leon gets this awesome roundhouse kick that he can do. So what you can do is like, you would like, if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, audience, but I think you would like shoot the zombies in the leg, they'd stagger. You could run up, do your roundhouse kick, and then when they fall down, then you take your knife out and just go knife, 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 and they're dead. Whereas in this, you go knife, 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 that thing breaks and it's done.
Yeah.
At first, it annoyed me, but I was like, when I thought about it, because then I started reading up after I beat Leon, I was like, oh, if you hit all the Mr. Raccoons in each playthrough, you can get an unbreakable knife. And I'm like, well, that would almost, the way they design the game, it would almost make it too easy, because then you can just say, okay, if it's one-on-one with a zombie, just grab me, I'll stab you, I'll shoot you, I'll pick the knife back up, and I'll keep going. That almost makes it too easy, so I kind of got over my critique about that. But the other thing was like doing the 2 playthroughs. Again, it's a video game. But the fact that Leon, so what we're supposed to believe of this is Leon's going through the station, and then Claire's going through the station, or vice versa. So if I'm Leon and I've already know what my A playthrough looks like and I've solved all these puzzles and stuff, why, when Claire comes in, does she still have to do them? Again, I get it's a video game and stuff, but it's like it breaks it a little bit for me.
I mean, just again, for me, it's just those two playthroughs in particular, right? Like I talked about it again. Just read the review. Like I talked about it in my review, where it's like, and it's one of the reasons why it is a little bit lower, where it's like, ultimately, Claire and Leon's stories are 85% the same, probably, in terms of what you're doing and where you're going. And so it is that thing of like, I ultimately think, and I might ultimately like write a feature about this, I don't know, but like, I think the game is stronger if they just combine those 2 stories into just one story and just have you switch back and forth into the 2 characters and have their thing, instead of me, because the way it is now, like, because again, like, George and Jared had each played this game numerous times and loved it. And like George, it's one of his like 3 or 4 favorite games of all time.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, how different are these? And I got like very like vague, like Anson was like, all right, so probably pretty similar. But and so like then I played it like, oh, this is very similar. Like these, like I'm literally doing a lot of things that are very similar, and like there are obviously differences, but it is still that thing for me, like doing Leon first and like get into the end of the game. And Claire's just there with the kid. And I'm like, I don't know who this is, but like, I guess I'm all right, like I have no sort of.
We're gonna have an escort mission. What the hell?
Yeah, and it's like, what is it? And the game's just over, and it's like, all right, cool. And like, because when I first played it too, like, I thought it would be a thing of like, all right, we're gonna branch off, but like, it is just gonna go back and forth between Leon and Claire in terms of like, you'll still get updates on what the other one is doing. And like, at first, it kind of did that. Like, you ran into Claire a few times, and she'd be at the fence and stuff, and be like, all right, cool, I'm getting updates. And then she's just gone for the rest of the game
until you get to that monitor. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And then she's at the monitor, and then she comes back again, and there's a kid there, and it's like, I don't know what you did, but like, all right, there's an extra person here now that I have literally no knowledge of whatsoever. And so it's like, it's a weird like story-wise thing, and it's the same for Claire. And then just like doing those 2 stories, it's like, all right, these are really not like 2 protagonists as much as it's just like, this is like another person in that world, right? Like, in Leon's story, it becomes like that spy lady,
Ada,
thank you, who's like his like kind of female lead in that game, way more than Claire is. And Claire doesn't really have a male lead in hers, and so just like this, it becomes this thing of like, all right, like this could have been done better. I feel like if you just put it into the other story, if you just incorporated the 2 of them together and done it however you want to do it, but make it to where like, I don't have to play the same like 85% of this game again a second time, or a third or fourth time if you want to do the B storylines. But that's a whole other thing. But like,
yeah, so
I like that it's there, but it is that thing of like, this could have been done better. And it's, I think for me, it's a part of it where it's like, this is a 2001 video game. Like, if they'd made that game brand new in 2019, I don't think they would have been made it like that. And that's where like the remake part of it comes in, I think.
And if I'm right, so again, I never played RE2 original.
Yes, neither one of us ever played it before this year. So like, if we're just talking out of our ass, just let us know.
But I think did they, correct me if I'm wrong, I think in the first one they the way they did the Claire and the Leon stuff, wasn't there some like, you'd get to a point in the story and then you'd zap? I think that's the word I've heard. You'd like zap from Leon to Claire or Claire to Leon or whatever to say like, okay, now this is what the other person's doing. Do you know?
If so, that's not in. If I mean, like, I don't know anything about that, but if so, it's not in the. They don't do that like in the remake, and I would like that remake. Like, I would like that.
That's
what
I think they should have done. Yeah,
I get to a story moment, and boom, now I'm Claire doing her thing, and then boom, now I'm back to Leon. Now I'm back to Claire. Like, now here's what is going on with the girl, right? Like, because for me, it's that, and for you, obviously, it sounds like each of us did Leon first. We had to like literally play through Claire's story and get a not insignificant of the way through it before we finally figure out like who this random girl was at the end of our first story. And it's like, all right, like this chick could have been like introduced better and in like a way more time efficient manner than like 15 hours into like a second play. Like it's like, all right, like this is a lot of like what is going on here, and it's just like ultimately I think it could have done better. Speaking of which, I totally forgot. I'd have to download now. The new DLC dropped yesterday. Just have to play through that, which is very exciting. But like RE2 is very good. It is like, and this year I think could be like a really, really, really great like 2017 caliber year for games potentially. But RE2 is like an automatic, like obviously top 10, but potentially like top 5 game of the year pick already. Like it is a very solid game. And I like it a lot. I like Leon a lot. It's finally cool to like meet this character who like has been so talked about, right? Like everybody talked about Leon from RE4 and like meet him in his first kind of introduction to us. And it's also cool having played RE7 and having like seen enough stuff about RE1, like really watched full playthrough of it, to be like enjoy the kind of winks and nods they give to like Resident Evil 1 in this game. Like obviously Claire's brother is Chris and stuff, and the letters to him. Yeah, exactly. The arc there,
his letters to her, and
there's also a in when you finish the 3 things, like unlock the like hidden statue kind of thing, the main like hallway, and it opens up and you go into that one room. On the left hand side of that like building there is a building of the mansion from RE1.
Holy crap, how did I not?
Yeah, and like I didn't catch it first and looked about it again. I'm like, wait, is this the thing? And like looked at it, I just literally sat there for like 5 minutes being like, I think it is.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, well now I got a reason to go back.
Yeah, it does. Like that's a really cool like touch thing too, and like just like kind of the small winks and nods to having it. Like I like that kind of world building they do in this game, because like RE7 is like deliberately like I said from that. It is like almost like a reboot in a lot of ways. Like it's not really connected to anything else, which I liked, but it is like cool to see the larger world that they've been building here, which is also why I want to do RE4 and do that larger world.
4 is awesome. That was one of the things I liked about 2 was like my first time seeing Leon was playing 4 again, like however many years after it actually came. I played in 2016 when it hit PS4 in September, I think it was.
So like 11, yeah.
Yeah, so like 11 years after it came out. So it was cool to then go back and see his origin. And I love the opening of this game. But
right.
If I do think I agree with you. I think if they were making Resident Evil 2 from scratch this year, I think what they had to do, they had to stay true to what the original game was. If they didn't have to do that, I think it would have been you either choose to play as Leon or you play as Claire. And once you get to a certain point of that story, then it's like, meanwhile, and you go over to Claire or Leon, you play through that like 30 minutes earlier, and you just have it kind of all sync up, so it makes more sense from a storytelling perspective, which is probably what I would have preferred. But at the end of the day, I'm like, game, you can't just have all the puzzles be solved, because then you're just going to run through the police station. I get it, but as much as I love storytelling in games, I wish they probably would have done the whole, like I just said, play through Leon to a certain point, and you take clear and then switch back, whatever. But
it is yes to all of that. But now I'm gonna hold the train of thought where it's like just picking out things that are cool things from RE2. I mean, it's a dope game, and I didn't notice it until my second time through when I saw it again. In the very beginning of the game, where you're like, where I guess you're not him, but like the truck driver guy, like on the highway, when it first like the camera like first opens on, I think it's like the burger he has in his hand. It's like the face of a zombie, and then like it changes into the burger. And it's like that's such a cool.
That makes sense. Because when I first saw it, I was like, "What the?" I was like, "Is that a brain? What the?"
Because like the way the light is on it, it's like it looks like a
that makes
face.
sense.
And then it, like as you zoom in more and like you get some more light on it, it becomes a burger. And it's like that's a cool like touch of like lighting and like kind of like shade and things like that's really neat. That just like fades into a burger.
Well, and that's the RE engine is just absolutely beautiful. And then when I did the last week I played the DMC5 demo, and I saw his RE engine, I'm like, okay. Well, I don't blame you, Capcom. That engine is absolutely beautiful. But
shout out to Capcom. Shout out to Capcom. That's our final note on this competition. Shout out to Capcom. Everybody playing Mega Man 2. It's real good. It's Capcom's best game. Hot takes just done.
Ooh.
We should have.
Man,
Street Fighter does nothing for me. Like that's like the thing. Like that's my blind spot. Is just like fighting games in general. I'm just bad at them. And so, but like Mega Man 2, I can do a whole thing. That's the best Mega Man game. We'll agree on that. I think probably.
I would probably agree with you. Yeah. The one blind spot for me is I've played Mega Man X. We had it on PC when we were kids.
Oh, okay.
but I never played X2 or 3 or anything after that.
That's fine.
So that's my blind spot. But if the original games, we agree that when Sean and I did our top 10 NES list, check it out at youtube.com/2player co-op. We did put Mega Man 2 on there. We liked it better than 3. So
was it Link to the Past as number 1?
Oh no, regular NES. So we had Mario 3 as number 1. We had Zelda as number 2.
Mario 3. So here, I guess, tangent. Mario 3 is...
We never do that here.
Yeah, is or on my shows. Again, clear the inspiration for both of these, where we come from just shows that are conversation and podcasts. But Mario 3 is a near flawless video game. And the thing that bums me out is the fact that like I just don't like Mario World just doesn't click with me like remotely in the same way. Like I am somebody who's like my hottest take maybe in all of games that like I don't really love Super Mario World, and I can't even like it just doesn't feel right in the way that like the other 2D Mario games feel like. I feel like before it. Mario 3 is flawless. That is probably my second or third favorite Mario game.
It's awesome. It's so good. I will say, until we did our Mario Mondays playthrough of Mario World,
one of my favorite things you guys do.
It was so much fun, and now we get off the rails quickly. But when we did the Mario World thing, that was my thought before we did Mario World. And then when we played through it, I was like, something about this, like, right? I don't know if I missed it the first time I played through it, but it did click for me that I do think I like Mario World better than Mario
the opposite direction I thought you were going to go.
It's like this, just a smidge better. I mean, Mario 3 is perfect, and I think Mario World's perfect too. The game that sucks is Yoshi's Island. That game is garbage. That game sucks.
That's an interesting take.
I hate that game.
I think Yoshi Island's all right. I mean,
I don't want to shoot eggs. I don't want to do that. That's
ultimately not the biggest divide between me and you on this. I just want to do like a ranking podcast now with you and Sean about just different Nintendo things. But the big one for us is that like I like 3D Mario games more than 2D Mario games, which is totally generational. Like it's as simple as that.
100%.
Right? Like where it's like
absolutely.
I mean, like literally the first thing they ever wrote in the game industry that I got paid for. That's not true. Maybe it was the first video game I ever beat, which was Mario 64. That's the first video game I ever beat. Which I know, like, I'm sorry, it already pains you, I'm sure, but like, so that's immediately my touchstone is that, where it's like you had the 1985, I would imagine, Mario game was like one of the first games you ever beat, and so it's like it's just a 10-year gap there, just like where we kind of touchstoned on Mario 64. Real good video game. Nobody can talk about anything about that. I mean, that's my Zelda, where it's like, I mean, you can't talk bad about Mario 64. That's just where
I was gonna say that's
Genesis.
Why
it's like
Zelda.
it's Genesis,
that's why the first Zelda is so
100%.
Like that game is just,
which is always why I like anytime I ever make a joke about that, it's always very tongue in cheek, right? And it's like
I know,
and that's also why I've never said Zelda 1 is bad. It's always I've said it's overrated a lot, but it's like but like I'm like same where like Mario 64. It's like I legitimately. It'd be very hard to not have rose-tinted glasses on that game. Also because like that game is such like it is one of the most like revolutionary games ever made. Like it changed video games forever. Like going forward from that game. But it's not the best Mario game. That's Galaxy. In particular, Galaxy 2 probably realistically. Galaxy 1 and 2 are really just like side A and side B of like a CD. It's just like the same thing. Basically.
Yeah, that's a big blind spot. I played Galaxy 1 for a little bit. We've got it on my Wii, but I never purchased it. I got it from somebody else that had a Wii and they just didn't want the game. Mm-hmm. And I played it for literally like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I got onto something because it was just like, oh, it's Galaxy. I want to try this. And I had like Uncharted or something that I wanted to play instead. So
the two Super Mario Galaxy games are both perfect 10s, or they're both 10s. Galaxy 2 is that's close to a perfect platformer I've ever played in my entire life. Galaxy 2 is basically just a Galaxy 1, just like a little bit better. And Galaxy 1 doesn't need to be that much better. It is beautiful to look at. It is amazing soundtrack. It is just gorgeously designed. I could gush like, I mean, that is probably my favorite Nintendo video game, or the Galaxy games. Like they're just so, because again, I'm a Mario guy over Zelda. They're so good. And like it's a thing for me too. It's like it's been so long since I've played them. But I can't play them now because I have no means to, because there's no, I don't know, like virtual shop or anything like that for me to play the Mario, like Galaxy games. Since I have a Wii, but I don't have a Wii because the console is 13 years old now. And so it's like, all right, well, I don't have my Wii anymore. And so I can't play these games. Put them on the Switch maybe.
RIP Wii eShop.
Yes, absolutely RIP Wii eShop. Those would be. I mean, to be fair, every Mario game would be perfect on the Switch, but like, put the Galaxy games on the Switch, just remaster, like, just make them a little bit nice looking. And change nothing else.
Out the edges and stuff, and just put it back on there. You'd be done. Yeah,
and it's like they're already like on the Wii, so it doesn't need like that. Like doesn't need that much work compared to other games on there. So it's like just put the games on the Switch. They are perfect.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. Now that Metroid Prime 4 got delayed, that's what I'm saying. It's got to happen. We're gonna get the trilogy on Switch, and I'll finally play through those games. I've never even
I've never. The only Metroid game I played is the NES Metroid.
Wow. Okay.
And I didn't finish.
I didn't play Super Metroid until 90.
I take it back. I played a little bit of Super Metroid because of the SNES Classic.
96. I meant 2000. What am I? I meant 2016. Jesus.
Other hot take. I mean, this is probably a hot take. The NES is better than the SNES. Boom. Let's just go. Let's just get hot takes out of the way here.
So that's one thing. So you and Colin agree on that. That's one thing that Colin has died on that hill, that the NES is better than the SNES. It's so close. I just think for me, like you take. Again, I guess it's maybe because I prefer World to Mario 3. So I think like Mario 3
and
just
Link to the Past
a little bit better. Exactly. Yeah. Link to the Past, Super Metroid to Metroid, Castlevania 4 to Castlevania 3, which Castlevania 3 is freaking amazing. Actually, Castlevania, never mind. Castlevania 3
that's an interesting take, yeah.
But Contra 3 to Contra and Super C. And there's other games where it's like they just took it and they just turned it up a notch.
For me, I mean, again, like my experience with either one of these consoles are 20 years after the fact with the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, and so it's those games. But I had more fun by a giant amount playing the NES games, right? And like Dr. Mario, I could literally play Dr. Mario every day of my life, for the rest of my life. That game is flawless. That's better than Tetris. Dr. Mario, I don't even know. I can't like. It's a weird thing where like I can't even explain how much I enjoy just playing Dr. Mario with like friends, just playing that game. It's so good. And like Bubble Bobble, awesome. And like all the dumb games that like
it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, like all the dumb games that like I shouldn't love, but like I love all the like dumb party games they put on this like console. And like NES Classic is so good. Like, and the SNES one is too good, but like man, the NES is a great console. Like Super Mario 3 is fantastic, and like all these games, and like that's a console, right? And like it's interesting for me where it's like I'm coming at it from like no nostalgia for any of these things, and coming at being like, I think the first one's maybe better, and the second being like, I don't like this as much.
I think the SNES Classic was very top heavy in its lineup. I think the NES Classic was a lot deeper. There were those kind of deeper cut games that I was like, I really want to play these games. Whereas the SNES Classic was like, I want to play Mario, I want to play Link to the Past, I want to play Metroid, I want to play that. But there was like 5 games I was like, those I got to play. With the NES, I was like, I missed out on Star Tropics when I had the NES growing up.
Yeah,
Sean loved that game. I never played it. I was like, I still need to get back. Actually, I need to get back and play through that. Same. But I'm like, I put about an hour, 2 hours in. I was like, this game's freaking awesome. I love Zelda. Mm-hmm. Yes, I should have played this game as a kid, and I didn't. I think the NES is way deeper when it comes to its lineup. For the NES Classic, I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
So what else you been playing, Logan?
Nice 30-minute derail about NES and SNES ranking games. Stay tuned to that podcast.
That would be fun.
I would get Sean in here and do that.
That'd be fun.
Do that. Oh my god. Make that mini podcast run series. Apex Legends, that was the other thing that we were talking about before we went on air. Apex Legends would have been playing. Apex Legends is very good, and like I told you before we started recording, I'm not like I've not played a single battle royale game before this. I didn't play PUBG. I didn't play Fortnite. I just thought they weren't my thing. And I've just found myself like totally captivated by Apex. And I think it is like the team oriented aspect of it, right? It is just like buddying up with Jared or Scott or Quinn or whoever it might be, Mike, from IP, and just playing like for a few hours and having that team aspect of it. I love like kind of, I mean, you played sports. I played sports. Like I love that aspect of sports, right? The team sports, like kind of having that camaraderie and just kind of taking the piss out of each other a little bit, maybe, and just kind of goofing off and having a fun time. And it's very much that, right? And like, there's always that moment too, where like the first, like, if you make it far, like the first half of the game is just like you all just like goofing off and being dumb and joking around, and then like there's a certain moment where it just like clicks and it's like, all right, everybody shut up it's serious time now. We had to do this kind of thing. It just like happens. It's always like this like switch flips. And it's so much fun. I haven't won a game yet. I'm very upset about that. I've gotten second place so many times. There was one day when it was me, Jarrett, and Quinn, and we literally went from 5th to 4th to 3rd to 2nd and then couldn't get a win. Another time it was me and Jarrett. We got back-to-back second place finishes. Like I told Kevin beforehand, the ring, we landed on one building, didn't leave it for the entire game. The ring literally closed in that building. We got in one firefight, we lost. That's why we didn't win. But it was such a great sort of just like being in the same building the entire time. It's good too because like me and Jarrett haven't won yet, and so it's like that thing of like I want to win the first one with Jarrett, like involved and just like have them together. Jarrett's actually like not the best at Apex. It's like the only thing in the entire world that Jarrett Green is not like the absolute best at. So it's an interesting kind of journey to go along with him. But like I like literally I told you earlier, like I want to just play Apex when I'm not talking to you, and I want to play Apex just as much as I can tomorrow. Like I just want to play Apex, and I just want to win. And it's also that thing of like we're in a weird spot where it's like Metro's out, and I have to decide what I want to do about Metro because I'm not gonna play Crackdown. I couldn't anyway. I don't have an Xbox, but like
yeah,
and then like
I just don't.
But like Metro is one where it's like I previewed Metro at PAX West in a hotel room where the blinds were closed, which is sort of like a like murder mystery novel. But so it's like, do I want to do anything with that, or do you want to play that? Do I want to jump into that? And then it's like Anthem coming out soon, and it's kind of end of the month games. Is the Division this month?
Next month.
Okay, thank God. I was like, that's if it was next week still. Like it got delayed. Yeah, I was like, if it was next month, I just but like there are all these kind of games that are coming out soon that like I maybe want to jump into. But it's also things like, but I just want to play Apex and just like finish that off. And I still have the NES and SNES Classic. I mean, I can see both of them right here. And like, I keep saying like there are games on that I want to finish, right? Like I want to play Earthbound and like beat that. Because I know that I would love it is what everybody keeps telling me. Like I haven't done it yet, right? And I feel like this is like the one spot until like summer where like I might have a chance to like play like a few games and knock them off my like gaming to finish list. That's I don't know why I described it like that. Gaming to-do list kind of thing.
Yeah.
Before like March and April kind of get real crazy. And so it's also like, do I maybe jump into like some of those other games? But in terms of like what I'm playing now, it is Apex. It is only Apex. It's all I care about. It's just Apex. Kevin played with me already.
I'm not going to give up. I will play with you.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, guys. I'm definitely intrigued by Anthem.
Yeah, same.
But I don't know that I have. My life doesn't lend itself for like an 80-hour game, and I don't know that I don't know enough about it to know that it is that. It worries me that it is, but I know what's up next for me. So as you guys are watching this, I'm probably on a plane to Dallas. I got to go to Dallas for work for a couple.
You're going to be in the same state as me. I'm just saying we could meet up somewhere.
I know. I got to work all day Thursday at a sales conference, and
he flies out the next day.
And I fly out Friday morning. Yeah. So, but on the way there, I'm finally going to start. Almost 20 years after it came out, I'm gonna play Majora's Mask. I got it on 3DS for Christmas, and it's one of those games that's always terrified me because the whole. It just terrifies me because the whole 3-day cycle and all this other stuff. It just terrifies me. And Sean's like, no, you'll be good. You don't need a guide, at least not for the beginning. Just play through it. It'll be clear what you need to do. It just that game's terrified me. And Adam Shafani also told me, he's like, nah, you're good. Just play it. You're fine. You're a Zelda player. You'll be fine. But so I'm finally going to dip some time into that. But then we're going to talk about some games here in a little bit that definitely have me fired up for the rest of this year. But after that, like Days Gone doesn't do it for me as much as I hate that.
I think
I'm a Sony fanboy, but I'm like, I want to like it, but I'm like, just give me The Last of Us. That's what I want. I don't want to blow up 150 zombies at a time or whatever it is. It just doesn't click for me. I'm intrigued by Anthem, intrigued by The Division.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry demo I liked, but it's literally the first. I've never played Devil May Cry before.
And I haven't either.
I felt like I was trying to play that game like old school God of War games, and that's not how this plays, even though I thought it did. I think I would like that game if somebody could coach me and tell me like, no, this is how you're supposed to chain like your sword attacks with the gun attack with your venom snake arm thing that you've got in the game, your devil arm, whatever it's called, and you got like 4 different ones, and I kept pushing L1 thinking it was switching, but it's actually just dropping the arm. Then all of a sudden I had no arm, and I just had like a stub, and I was like, I don't know what I did. There's a lot of games that intrigue me, but it's not like, I think the next game that's officially now coming out this year, spoiler alert for later in the podcast, is Bloodstained. Because I didn't play through Symphony of the Night, and I always say that we're wrong. Symphony of the Night until last year on my Vita, and I finally got it. It finally clicked for me. So now I'm like, yes, Iga, give it to me. Give me the Igavania. Give me Bloodstained. Like the trailer that they showed in the Switch Direct was just like so cool, and I don't mind the art style. Some people hate it because it's not pixel art. Yes, Symphony of the Night is beautiful, but 2.5D can be beautiful too. So just stop. If the gameplay is great, who cares about the art style? Which I think the gameplay is going to be great in that. So
that's an interesting one. I would say if you're curious about Anthem, go check out irrationalpassions.com. No, Mike has been doing a lot of stuff about that, and he put like the first 30 minutes of the game up on YouTube. Anthem is one where it's like I am curious about it in the same vein I think you are, but it's also a thing for me at least where it's like if I'm having to pick between like one of these style of games, I'm gonna pick Division. That's what I'm gonna pick Division 2. Like I think the setting is dope, is all dope, in Washington DC, and like exploring that, and like obviously it appeals to like the political history nerd in me. And also just because it's like such a criminally underused setting in video games, and it feels like they've at least fixed some of the kind of flaws that the first Division had. So I'm very excited about Division 2. But Anthem's a curious one. Bloodstained is one that I had totally forgotten about. That could be a very interesting pick. But Majora's Mask, I need to play still. Again, I've been like working my way through Zelda games. I've kind of stalled out a little bit. The one that, ironically enough, the one that started this all and that I still haven't played, is I feel like the only Zelda game that I might actually love is Wind Waker, and the reason is because Oceanhorn, which is why I started playing all those Zelda games, because we bonded over that many years ago. Our shared love of Oceanhorn, and so that we each had in our top 10 list in 2016.
God almighty, it's been time flies.
And God, that is wow. Oceanhorn's a real good video game that people should remember. And give us a sequel, but not on mobile. And I think that I would love Wind Waker. It's just Oceanhorn. Majora's Mask is the one where I've been told by like a few different people, mainly Alex, who's the other person who yells at me about Zelda, just like you.
Yep.
That I might like. He thinks I might like Majora's Mask. He thinks I might dig it. But like right now, my favorite Zelda game is probably Ocarina still. Like it's not gonna be Zelda 1.
Breath of the Wild, a hot take there. It like Ocarina is. It's
like game. Breath of the Wild. This is the hot take. Like, just did not. Like, I think it's good, but it's like I don't feel compelled. Like I did not beat Breath of the Wild. I was like I'm burned out on this game. And then Link to the Past, I've now like started and stopped like 30 different times. Not because it's bad any other time, just because I've been like I just get distracted. I'm actually just like commit to doing it like I did for Zelda 1. Was like I'm just gonna beat this game, because Zelda 1 was hard. I make no apologies for using the guide on that game. It was like, nope, I'm using the guide.
You should. If you, I mean, I know that game like the back of my hand at this point, but that's because I grew up on it. If you don't, you have to use a guide.
It's literally impossible.
So obtuse.
Like, I don't even understand. It's like, and so, but like, I Link to the Past is what I want to do. But Majora's Mask and Wind Waker again. Give me an easy way to play them, Nintendo, maybe. And so Link to the Past at least is on the SNES Classic. Maybe I will dust off that. Maybe that's what I might do this next week or two. Just play SNES games.
It's so good.
This is the worst way to live your life than playing SNES games. Yep. I can also do Super Metroid too. I need to do that as well. And Earth.
Super Metroid's great.
I've described 3 games that are all like 20 hours long each at least, but I'll pick one of them. I'm sure. I'll maybe do
Super Metroid's not that bad. It's about 9 to 10 hours.
Okay.
Link to the Past probably 12 to 15.
Yeah, but I feel like Link's Past might be longer for me.
Yeah, that's true.
Like at the very least, I'll use guides for part of Link's Past. Yeah,
it's so.
I did this. I think when I first booted up, whenever the SNES came out, like Classic came out like a year ago, and some change now. I was like, "Yo, before I do anything else, just boot up the game. Link to the Past is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. That's a video game that is like still beautiful 20 like some odd years later.
16-bit is the generation that has aged the best. It's still those sprite-based graphics are just absolutely perfect.
Maybe
there are some games that just look really old. When you get into the early polygonal stuff like the N64 and PS1, like, oh my god, it's just
that's generation that aged the worst. Everywhere. Yeah, and then I think we've started to rebound from there. Where I think PS2 is better.
Yep.
PS3 I think is aged, especially like the latter into that like generation is aged really well still. I think.
Oh yeah.
Because we're getting to the point now, it's like we're making marginal kind of improvements on that. But yeah, I can't deny Link's Past is beautiful. So I might do that actually in terms of like what I've been playing and switching it to like what I might play. Tell you what, if you're listening or watching this episode, let me know in the comments below. I got you back, Kev.
Thank you, sir.
What I should play out of Link to the Past, Super Metroid, or that other game I already forgot about. That's on the SNES. Earthbound. Which one should I play first? Let me know. Or surprise me and give me another SNES game that is on the classic that I should play instead of one of those. But let me know what I should play. And then I will scroll through the comments and also the Twitter poll that I probably put out and report back with my findings. There we go.
The answer is Zelda 3.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Or I guess you could say like Castlevania 4 if you want to just like buck wild in here. You can throw that out there. Yeah, that's everybody knows that's
hot take. Castlevania Bloodlines is better on Genesis.
Whoa. That's an interesting take.
It's so good. It is so good. You got the two characters you can play as. It feels more like the NES.
Castlevania is hard.
It is. And this is really hard. But you can get a laser whip, which is freaking awesome. The blue laser thing, if you've ever seen that, it's awesome. But Castlevania Bloodlines is one of the few games. Check out our Versus series at youtube.com/2playercoop. That was one of the few games that I think we definitely got the better version of on Genesis than Super Nintendo. All right, Logan.
I'm ready.
So we had a lot of
podcast.
We had a lot of fun talking so far.
About not the news.
Well, but now let's talk about the not fun stuff, and that is Activision. So this was the first article that Schreier put out at Kotaku. I'm just going to read through it. Some stuff has changed since then, but this pretty much, if you're not aware of what's going on, this one gives the best summary of what's going on. So again, Activision has laid off 800 people. This comes from Kotaku and Jason Schreier. Publisher Activision Blizzard has begun its long-rumored layoff process, informing employees this afternoon, which was earlier this week, that it will be cutting staff. On an earnings call this afternoon, the company said it would be eliminating 8% of its staff. In 2018, Activision Blizzard had roughly 9,600 employees, which would mean nearly 800 people are now out of work. This afternoon, the mega publisher began notifying those who are being laid off across its various organizations, which include Activision, Blizzard, and King. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think King is the Candy Crush thing that they bought, right?
Yes.
Okay. On the earnings call, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick told investors that the company had, quote, once again achieved record results in 2018, end quote. But the company would be consolidating and restructuring because of missed expectations for 2018 and lowered expectations for 2019. The company said it would be cutting mainly non-game development departments and bolstering its development staff for franchises like Call of Duty, Hooray, and Diablo. Development sources from across the industry told Kotaku this afternoon that the layoffs have affected Activision Publishing, Blizzard King, and some of Activision studios, including High Moon. At Blizzard, the layoffs appear to only have affected non-game development departments, such as publishing and esports, both of which were expected to be hit hard. Quote, over the last few years, many of our non-development teams expanded to support various needs, Blizzard President J. Allen Brack said in a note to staff around 1 p.m. Pacific time that was obtained by Kotaku. Currently, staffing levels on some teams are out of proportion with our current release slate. That means we need to scale down some areas of our organization. I'm sorry to share that we will be parting ways with some of our colleagues in the U.S. today. In our regional offices, we anticipate similar evaluations subject to local requirements. The letter also promised, quote, a comprehensive severance package, continued health benefits, career coaching, and job placement assistance, as well as profit-sharing bonuses for the previous year to those who are being laid off. Blizzard employees receive twice yearly bonuses based on how the company performed financially. Quote, there's no way to make this transition easy for impacted employees. That's a word that, trust me, I know corporate loves to say is impacted. Mm-hmm. Impact just makes it sound like it's not bad. It's bad. But we're doing what we can to support our colleagues, Brack wrote. The news follows months of rumors about layoffs at the publisher, which heated up early last week as word began to spread that hundreds of people across Activision Blizzard's various divisions might lose their jobs. Leading up to today, some of the publisher's employees had been coming to work with no clue as to what might happen. One person at Blizzard told me, this is Jason Schreier, this morning that as employees arrived, they cried and exchanged hugs in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about.
Last fall, Kotaku reported that Blizzard's 2018 mandate had been to cut costs and produce more games, and that as a result, layoffs would likely hit the company's support departments even as Blizzard continues to expand its development teams. Brack's email suggests the same. Quote, it's critical that we prioritize product development and grow the capacity of the teams doing this work to best serve our player community, he wrote. We also need to evolve operationally to provide the best support for new and existing products. Meanwhile, in a press release to investors this afternoon, Activision CEO Bobby Kotick wrote, quote, while our financial results for 2018 were the best in our history, we didn't realize our full potential. To help us reach our full potential, we have made a number of important leadership changes. These changes should enable us to achieve the many opportunities our industry affords us, especially with our powerfully owned franchises, our strong commercial capabilities, our direct digital connections to hundreds of millions of players, and our extraordinarily talented employees. That was a lot. I'm kind of parched. It just sucks. Like I said on the solo podcast last week, before we knew for sure this was happening, it just sucks. Like if I don't know that this industry is sustainable. Now, the thing that's weird about this is it seems like as far as we know, almost all of the jobs that have been cut have been non-game development jobs, which is interesting. It seems like esports was just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and that Blizzard specifically would be a big part of that, as well as Activision with Call of Duty and everything. So it's interesting that they cut a lot of jobs there. I know there's been a lot of talk about unionization and everything.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know enough to really have an opinion on it. I can definitely see both sides of it, but I don't know, Logan, is this industry even sustainable if one of the biggest of the big guns is having to cut 8% of their staff after having their best year ever? I just don't know. I don't know that we're going to be playing video games in 10, 15 years from now. I don't know what the industry looks like going forward when you see stuff like this.
So there's lots to unpack in that, obviously. And I will say that I by no means have all the answers. But I do think in my humble opinion, this is something I just know, I don't think. We will definitely be playing video games in 10 to 15 years. What those look like, I don't know. I think the industry is sustainable in the sense that it will still exist. People will still be making video games 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 years from now. This is a form of storytelling and expression in a vein the same category and level as filmmaking or like television or kind of novels or theater. It won't go away. Games are an essential part of kind of the storytelling medium from now on. Amen. So in that sense, I feel confident that we'll still have games throughout the rest of our lives. In terms of like, will the industry look like this in 10 to 15 years? No, it won't look like this. I can make that. It's certainly in my opinion, it won't look like this. It'll be different. I think unionization is going to... I think it's going to become a bigger discussion at the very least. Already you've seen game outlets unionize, right? Like the Vice properties have unionized. And so I think, and a few others. And so I think you're seeing kind of that discussion there. I think ultimately on the kind of journalism side of things, which is obviously where I am much more affected, it is the IGNs and the game spots, not stops.
It gets me every time.
I have to literally say it out loud, that are going to be the ones that have to stand up, right, and like make kind of the unionization push, right? Because until the two biggest in the industry do, people can just be like, well, they're not, and so like that can be the counter. And that, then like we've talked about unionization a lot on Input, and it's complicated. It's messy. That podcast is a podcast with 3 people who are all staunchly pro-unions. I am obviously one of them. But I also acknowledge the fact that it's hard, right? Like, in particular, to start one is a terrifying proposition with a lot of risk, right? Because if you were basically like found out and trying to start a union, they can just cut you, and you're out of a job now, right. And there's no union there, and I mean, you have to just kind of rely and trust people to kind of have your back and not report you at any point in time to either like HR or higher ups. There's a lot of risk in trying to start one, especially at a company like IGN or GameSpot, where there is a lot of kind of competition for your job, right? Like, if it's not like they can't find exactly, it's not like they can't find somebody who wants to do what you want to do and can't find somebody who wants to do what you want to do for less money than you, even, right? People would be willing to jump at those jobs for less than you're getting paid, probably, and so they could just do that, right? And so you need to have like a giant chunk of the editorial staff on your side where they say, we are going to form a union. You can either be okay with this, or you're gonna have to wipe out 2/3 of IGN, which isn't obviously sustainable for you. This is what it's gonna be. Let's talk. But you have to build up to that 2/3, and at any point in time that can go awry. At any point in time that can be messed up, and it's a bit easier at places like Polygon or Kotaku or Waypoint, not all of which are unionized, but some of which are, that are smaller staffs and are also staffs that lean even more to the left than the kind of the rest of the video game industry. And so you're likely to find friendlier audiences, or just audiences that are smaller, and so it's just easy to kind of control in terms of forming a union. Whereas IGN and GameSpot, they're bigger, far bigger staffs and far bigger people, and way more people involved, right? And even as they're still liberal institutions in San Francisco, they're ones that are more diverse in terms of people involved, and more diverse in terms of thoughts and opinions and feelings on these, and also acknowledgments that, like, I mean, like, Damon Hatfield, I'll just use him example, has been at IGN for like 13 years now. And basically at this point, I feel like he's like, is at IGN for life unless he wants to leave. And so it's like, what is the incentive? Like, and I'm just told this, I have not talked to Damon about this at all, obviously, but like, what would be the incentive for him necessarily to then join on the union and put the risk in that potentially? Like, this, then he could get canned for this and try to start a union where he's already there for, I mean, he's basically got tenure at this point where he can do whatever the fuck he wants at IGN. Sorry again. And so I don't know what, like, the argument can be that, like, what's the incentive for him to join the union and like protect everybody else on board, and like what's the incentive for people who are already established and there and safer? And the incentive would be, well, to protect everybody, to protect everybody's rights, and to protect your rights too in the long run. But I think it can be hard to convince people of that at times, right? I think unions can be a scary and kind of terrifying thing to sign on board and like risk a lot to potentially gain a lot of protections, and a lot of protections for people to come after you. But people don't necessarily think like that all the times. And then from the other side of the perspective, from like the business side perspective, well, they don't want unions because it makes it complicated. It makes things harder. It establishes rights that they maybe don't want established, or enshrines things they don't want established, to say nothing of the fact of unionizing at game studios, which is infinitely more complicated and infinitely more messy and chaotic, right? Because ultimately, in terms of the journalism side, it is the editorial staff and basically management having agreed to this, which is ultimately like, all right, cool, I can see the people involved. At game studios, it becomes way messier. People have different jobs, people have different things, and trying to set certain hours.
Work across different countries and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and they're trying to set, like, well, like, you can only work this many hours. So that might work, but some people might be able to do that and be able to do a job effectively. And other people, the demands that would put on them would be exponentially more, like, fraught, right, and frustrating. And, like, a PR person at a game studio and a level designer don't have the same level of work necessarily, and they don't necessarily work the same amount of hours. And so it's in trying to manage that, which is also why, like, we've talked about before in input, and so have people in the industry about not having a, like, industry-wide standard in the way that, like, there are, like, the kind of production unions in film that are incredibly strong and powerful unions that are basically like set standards for the entire industry. Instead, maybe for games, we don't do that. We do studio-wide standards, right? So like Naughty Dog could have different standards than Insomniac, and then Sucker Punch, then fill the blank, fill the blank, fill the blank, right? Like studios can set their own standards. So Naughty Dog, if they want to say, hey, our standard for when you hit overtime is maybe 50 hours because we like crunching, working hard, and doing all other stuff, and because we're comfortable with that, you at least know the rules going in. Whereas Insomniac could be like, no, we're going to set ours at 40 hours, and after that you get double pay or whatever, this kind of thing. You get this many days vacation, you get this many days of break. Each individual studio and culture can kind of set their own things with maybe like a base industry-wide standard, but like games is certainly at this point in time in its development is a bit more, I think, chaotic and messy than film is, or TV, which have very strong established unions. Which is also to say nothing of the fact to your basic question of like, what does the games look like in 10, 15 years? It's just very different. I don't think it is sustainable in terms of like the thing people don't want to talk about. We're going to have to charge more money for games probably in the next 10, 15 years. We're going to have to make games more expensive. That's
the other side of this. Do we get to $100 games? Do we get to $80 games at a minimum? I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, that's the thing for me. It was like, we haven't changed the price of games since the PS2 era. Now,
I can remember
going on 20 years ago. Yeah. Like
I can remember on my Genesis, Virtua Racing was $100 game. It was $100 game, and like Fantasy Stars, I think might have been $90. I think Super Street Fighter 2 might have been $80 on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis. Those are like $140 games now if you do inflation. Something. I mean, I'm just making that.
Yeah,
up.
like I mean, that was the thing. Like Colin would bang the drum about this all the time. Where he would say like games are cheaper to play and buy now than they've ever been in the history of the industry, as they cost more to make than ever before in the history of the industry. That certainly is not a sustainable like business model. You can't have things that are way more money to make while you get less money for them. Like that's just not gonna work. Not every game is GTA 5. Not every game is Red Dead. Not every game is The Last of Us or Uncharted that make their money back and then some. Most games aren't that, in fact, and you have to at least make them where like they can make a healthy profit to then like fund the next thing. And right now, that's not necessarily the case. I just think that we as consumers and we as players and we as gamers have to be okay with it. Like games can be $70 or $80. Like that has to be okay. Like it's not even like games have to be $100 because like we can just basically adjust them to the cost of inflation, which would be like $70, $75, $80. Like we've been stuck at the same price for, again, since 2001 in the PS2 generation when that launched. And so it's like, or I guess 2000. So for 19 years now going on. And so it's like, we have not let games be any more expensive. And we have to be okay, I think, accepting that maybe they should be, right? Like we've been fine with like outrageous prices for movie tickets over the last 20 years. So I think we can also accept the fact that like games can be more expensive because they're longer term investments, both to experience the player and also to make as a game designer and game developer. And so it's like, we have to be okay with that. Like, in fact, it's weird that I think in part that people will get so upset about it. But it is what it is. You spend 100 hours of Witcher 3. I think you can pay $65 or $70 for it and pay $5-10 more for that.
Yeah.
But that's a big piece of this.
Like you brought up GTA 5. I mean, between GTA 5 on PS3 and PS4 and GTA Online on both as well, I probably up near 400 hours now.
Exactly.
I did pay 100 and what did I say? So when I traded in GTA 5 on PS3, I think they gave me $10. Thanks, GameStop. So I spent like $110 on that game essentially, which is a good. I still feel like I got my money's worth, and now they're doing all through February. If you just log in on GTA Online on the weekend, you get $250,000 in GTA money. Like they just keep that going, and Rockstar is Rockstar, and they're awesome. But yeah,
and it's that thing.
Prices are going to go up for sure.
Yeah, and well, I look at it like you could even if you want to get into like the financial like is it worth it thing, which I think is obviously it isn't. It's a dumb argument to have, but like you spend. I mean, you could easily spend $15 going to movies, just for one. That's for one person, and to see a 2-hour film, we'll say, and then you could spend $60 for a game that is even if it's 30 hours long, right? You can then play that game again and again and again, and platinum it and do different things, different levels, and different playthroughs and everything. To say nothing of games that are just giant and sprawling, right? Like I played Red Dead Redemption 2, unfortunately, for like 70 hours last year, and it nearly killed me.
Yeah.
To review that game for IP. Never again. And I mean that was a $60 game that I just spent 70 hours playing, and I didn't do so much, and there was still so much I didn't do in that game. Like that is a game that easily would have eclipsed 100 hours if I did everything and like try to platinum that game. Like a 100-hour game for $60, and it's like this math is not equaling up here. Like this is just not like making any sort of sense at all. Like we have to be okay acknowledging the fact that it's not 2001 anymore, and that these things, like everything else in the world, has gotten more expensive except for like this. And maybe we should be okay also letting this get more expensive, right? That's what I would say.
Yep. I think it's such a complicated issue. I feel so bad for everybody at Activision.
Yeah.
I hope
my heart goes out to all of them.
I hope what Activision is saying about good severance packages and job placement and stuff like that, I hope that's true and that's not just fluff. I really hope that's true, because it's horrible. Like I'm going through some uncertainty at my job right now, and I just work in IT at a company here in Memphis. It's like where everything's getting shipped offshore for cheaper labor and stuff like that, and I don't know what the future holds. And that almost makes sense to me, even though it's affecting people that I work with. Like I get it, I get the bottom down, I get it, but like this is just, we had our best year ever. But it wasn't good enough, so 800 people. Sorry, you have no jobs now. It just
it set the industry in a very kind of, I think, important discussion about, this topic, right? About this thing, right? And you can see headlines from like Waypoint and others that are like obviously very upset about this and very angry about this. And I mean, even within IP, it's set up in like a larger internal discussion about like the games industry's like sustainability and just like what is happening right now. And like people, like friends of ours too, that do their own kind of thing. Like, I mean, people are not too happy about capitalism right now. It's like the hottest commodity in the games industry. That's a second, I think. But it's, we can definitely do better, and we should aim to do better. And there have been a lot of stories around about like what Nintendo did a few years back with like their higher ups, like taking like 50% pay cuts or like going without pay for like a year to make sure that like they didn't have to lay anybody off, right? And like I think it's also something you said for like having a respect.
That's the Japanese culture versus
and having a respect for your workers and having respect for people that are there, right? And like I don't think that capitalism is a bad thing. I think it very easily can do bad things, and it's just at the heart of it, you should have this respect and empathy and understanding for the people that you work with or work for you, kind of thing. And I think Japan and that kind of culture, particularly at Nintendo, which is the company that it was, very much has that embedded in it. And I think that Activision, ironically enough, actively does not have that embedded in it. But we should all aim to kind of be better. And I think this is another example of that. Like they didn't need to let go of these agency people. They didn't need to let go of them. They did it to make their bottom line look even better while getting a slap in the face of PR publicity that just has been terrible and awful. And absolutely our hearts go out to everybody affected. It's heartened me to see like so many game studios step up and have like postings for like job openings and in like applications where to send them and resumes where to send them. And like the industry's kind of taken a step forward to kind of try to help out these 800 people who are now like have lost their jobs, right? And who just like, I mean, it could very easily been like 2 weeks before one of these people could have bought a house or like gotten engaged or found out they're gonna have a baby. It's like, this is the thing that has bothered me the most is the lack of like prior notice to the age people, right? Where it was like that one and they were in the parking lot like crying because they didn't know if they were going to get laid off or not. Like literally hours before it happened, they had no idea, right? And it's just like this could have been handled better on so many levels, and it could have been handled better on like a human level. And so let's just be better to each other. You know what I mean? That's what I gotta say. That's my piece.
I agree.
Let's talk about fun things.
Yeah, so what might be a little bit fun is Activision also on this call, they did confirm that Call of Duty is bringing back their single-player campaign this year. There's a lot of people speculating that we're getting Modern Warfare 4.
Boo.
I'm just to the point now. I haven't really enjoyed a Call of Duty single player campaign since Black Ops 1.
Wow.
I think that's by far that's my favorite Call of Duty campaign. Yes. I absolutely loved it. With all the tie-ins to Kennedy and all that stuff. It was out there, but it was a lot of fun. But
actively not out there as compared to some of the later ones.
Yeah.
I mean, where it goes.
Yeah.
Black Ops 1 is a phenomenal video game. That is such a great story. Man, somebody who's played every Call of Duty campaign since Modern Warfare. I mean, I guess technically since Call of Duty 3. All the way except for like 1. I don't think I finished Ghost because it was trash.
I finished it just because it was all I had to play on my PS4. So.
And I definitely did, and I didn't finish Modern Warfare 3 because it was bad. It was a bad video game. It's bad.
2 was obviously it was all downhill after that.
Yeah. But my whole thing is that like I did not buy or play a single second of last year's Call of Duty because I was like, you got to boycott if you want. But like I was like, they don't have a campaign. I think that is such a slap in the face of people who bought this game for 10 years.
Yep.
And like, it's a thing for me where it's like, I honestly don't know if I'll buy, what the next, I don't know what my feelings on Call of Duty are anymore, right? Where it's like, for 11 years, I loved this series. And then it's just like, for that to happen, it's like, I don't know where I'm at with you even right now, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And also, if it is actually going to be Modern Warfare 4, that blows. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That series, that just let that be bad. Modern Warfare 3 was bad. Modern Warfare 2 was like up and down. It had some amazing highs and some lows that I think are also lows. Modern Warfare 1 obviously like made Call of Duty into what it was, but like that was also a video game that is now 12 years old this fall.
That's insane.
Yeah, I was in high school when that game came out. I'm not anymore. I mean, I don't know if we want to do this, I guess, but like in the fall of 2007, I would have been a sophomore in high school. And so it's like I was 15 years old. And I'm not that anymore. I know. I'm sorry. And so I was like, I was in high school, and now it's like I'm 3 years away from being 30. And so it's like I don't know if I want to like really invest in a Modern Warfare that hasn't been good in certainly not since Modern Warfare 2, which is 2010 years, right? And so it's like we gotta do something different, do something new. Don't do like Black Ops Infinity and Beyond either. Like I really liked Infinity War. I thought that was, or Infinite Warfare. I thought that was like one of the best Call of Duty games in years. It was such a great campaign because it wasn't tied into like this like convoluted mess either. Like Black Ops has become so complicated and messy. Like Modern Warfare became just complicated and messy. Like do something new and fresh. Like change it up. Like I believe in your ability to do that as makers, and maybe you should maybe hopefully having the year off has allowed you to do something fresh and new. But also, even if it has, I don't know where I'm at with that studio and that series.
Black Ops 3. I loved, like I said, I love Black Ops 1. I liked Black Ops 2.
Black Ops 2, yeah.
Black Ops 3, though, I bought it and I played it for like a weekend and was like, this just
Black Ops 3, I feel like
it isn't for me anymore. It was when they went all super. I mean, Black Ops 2 went into the future, but 3 went into the future even more. I was like, I sold it on Craigslist for $40. I was like, I'll take the $20 loss and just be done with it. I'm just, this isn't for me. I'm done. And when I lived through it. When I saw Black Ops 4 was obviously just doing the multiplayer stuff in Battle Royale, I was like, y'all suck. And of course, it was still. I was so happy while I didn't play Red Dead, and I have all my thoughts on that. I was so happy that was the best-selling game of last year.
You didn't play Red Dead?
Duty. No, I can't.
Not to derail this, I guess, again, but what's your thing with Red Dead?
Give me GTA 6. Like Westerns have never hooked me. I don't know.
I feel like your dad would like Westerns.
Oh yeah, but
like knowing what I know about your dad.
Yeah. But like they've just
because my dad loves Westerns.
It just seems like the game, everything I've heard about the game is it's way too slow paced and it's way too realistic. And the epilogue stuff that I've heard is like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I really got to shovel crap for how long? Like, dude, I just can't.
Like, I don't even know if it's slow. I mean, the thing for Red Dead 2 is that game is 30 hours too long. Like it's 30 hours too long. Like that is a game that is 70 hours long. That should be 40 hours long. And even that is maybe like generous. Like it is so much longer than it needs to be. And like the original Red Dead, which I think is incredible, is like a 20-hour game. And then they went, we're going to dial that up to like 11 and make it 70 hours plus. And the epilogue is something that rubs me the wrong way, because the epilogue is not an epilogue. It's a two-part epilogue, or two like act epilogue. Right. That is another 22 missions, and it's like, this isn't an epilogue. This is just another act of the game. That's not how epilogue isn't just as long as like a third of the entire game. That's not how epilogues work.
That's not how epilogues work. What are you doing, Rockstar?
Like the original Red Dead epilogue was finding, like, spoiler alert for Red Dead Redemption 1, but like, who you kidding, is like finding the guy who killed John, right? And it's like being the son, kind of doing that story. It's like all like one thing, and it's not that long at all. It's like an hour maybe. This is like, we're going to give you 22 missions. And it's like, well, okay, that's not what an epilogue is at all. And it's like, this is just, no. And like, it's more to the point, like, you don't need any of the stuff in the epilogue. Like, you don't need any of it. Like, this is more of a spoiler. They did it just to have you be able to play John. So they could say like, oh, look, you get to be John Marston again. It's like, it doesn't need that. Like, the way that it ends is actually a really nice touch in terms of like the main storyline with Arthur. And then when it goes back to John, you do that first mission, it's like, oh, is it just like a one-off thing with John? And then like you find out it's not, and it's like, oh no, I don't want to do this. This is not what I want to do, and it's unnecessary, and it's like,
it just goes and goes.
Yeah, and it does weird stuff with like the larger like story and mythology of John and Red Dead 1. And it's like, this, I didn't need any of this. I don't want it. It's bad. Red Dead Redemption 2 is messy on a lot of fronts, and its epilogue is one of them. So I don't blame you for playing it.
It's like I said, I respect it for what it is. It is a
play Red Dead 1. If you played Red Dead 1, play Red Dead 1.
And that's the thing.
Great.
If I would have played 1, I probably would have wanted to play 2. But it's like when 2 first got announced, Sean and I were both like, oh yeah, Rockstar, let's do this. And then it just kept going on. And then as we got closer and I started hearing the previews and stuff, and I was like, you gotta like clean your gun and like cut
Red Dead,
your hair and what? Why? I already have to do real life. I don't want to do real life in a video game.
Red Dead Redemption 1 is a great video game still. That is a great video game. That is a lot of really cool games written about it as well. That is like 20 hours long. And as somebody who does love Westerns, because my dad had obviously a huge impact on me, Red Dead 1 is a great Western. Whereas Red Dead 2, I'll sum up Red Dead 2 like this. Red Dead 2 thinks it's a lot of things, including the smartest kid in the room, and every 10 hours it maybe is, and then it immediately squanders it away. Like it has a lot of really cool ideas, and it thinks it's a lot of things, and every now and again it hits it on the head, and then it immediately just goes away. Like it'll do like a really great moment of scene, and then it'll just like totally just like let it go. It wants to be so much, and it thinks it's subverting and blowing away what a Western is. And I think in its kind of desire to be this grand, giant, sprawling tale of the West, it fails to effectively nail almost any of those aspects. Like ultimately, I think all the things it tries to do does a disservice to Arthur Morgan as a character, does a disservice to Dutch and John, does a disservice to the larger kind of gang nature, does a disservice to its story of like the end of the West, and does a disservice to itself as like a giant open world game. Like I don't think it lets itself be any of them spectacularly. It just does all of them fine to like good. That's my verdict on Red Dead Redemption. There you go.
That makes sense. So speaking of happy things though, let's talk this, which might be my favorite Nintendo Direct of all time. And I know that's saying something, but there was a lot of stuff in here for me. So I'm going to run through this and then we'll talk about what we're most excited about. Obviously, they led off the conference with what blew my mind. I didn't know this was going to happen. I thought it would hit Switch at some point, but we got Super Mario Maker 2 is coming out in June 2019. I'm so stoked for this. I
never played the first one.
Oh my god!
I know
it was the best game on the Wii U. I would say
that's why I didn't play it. On the Wii, it was right. That was that simple. I'm very excited.
So they added the Super Mario 3D World characters, which I think is odd because you're still in 2D, but whatever. The cat power up is there. You can do the slopes, so you can slide down on enemies. The angry sun is there. There's new enemies. There's the new UI wheel thing. They haven't explained how touch controls work or if they work. I assume they do. If you're in portable mode, they must. Otherwise, why would you make a Mario Maker? But I'm so stoked for it. I can't wait. Hopefully they let you do something with all the old levels, because some people, they made some amazing things in the first Mario Maker, and hopefully
absolutely insane
too. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is officially out summer of this year. They confirmed Captain Marvel. I never played the UA games, so I don't have I just don't have a connection to this. I know it's going to be good, but it doesn't get the hype meter going for me like it does a lot of people, and that's not because I'm a Marvel hater. Batman versus Superman was just okay.
Batman versus Superman was better than
way better than Justice League.
I like the last act of Justice League better than
the last act.
Maybe
after the Superman fight was awesome, but getting to that point, Batman's like a little schoolgirl, and he's just like, you can tell when like Affleck's fat and then he's skinny.
Batman vs Superman is a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Okay.
Smash Ultimates 3.0 update is coming soon. I don't think they really gave any updates on that, but Joker from Persona 5 is coming in April. I haven't played that game since I unlocked everybody. It was fun to unlock everybody.
I didn't play that game when it came out. So
when it came out, I was like, why do you not just have everybody unlocked from the beginning? And now I know, because that was the only fun part of it for me, was unlocking everybody. Now they're unlocked. I literally have not picked it up since I unlocked everybody. Box Boy and Box Girls coming out April 26th. There is a 2-player co-op option. This time, they announced new amiibo, which I am so stoked for a few of these.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yep.
Simon Belmont, and what I'm really hyped for is Squirtle, Ivysaur, and the Pokemon Trainer. No, I'm not. I hate Pokemon. But then they also confirmed later in the day, they confirmed Ken, Daisy, and young Link. I'm definitely getting Snake. I'm definitely getting Simon. I feel like I need to get Ken because I've already got Ryu. So I don't know why I even have Amiibo. I don't even use them for their purposes. I just like to collect them. Captain Todd, as I like to call him, has DLC coming out on March 14th.
Yeah,
18 new courses, and they're
he does.
Also getting a co-op option, which that part's free. The DLC is paid.
Very excited about it.
Bloodstain, like we touched on earlier, finally has a release window. We still don't have a date, but it is officially coming out this year, thank God. Although I think I will play this on my PlayStation and not on my Switch. It's coming out summer 2019. I cannot wait. That's probably my second most anticipated game. Ooh, actually, wait. Now it's my third. We'll get to that here in a minute. I can't wait to play it. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is out July 12th. The boys, my kids had the first one. They loved it. It doesn't do anything for me, but people are hyped about that. As well as Dragon Quest 11 Definitive Edition is coming out with new character stories. You can speed up the battles, but the cool thing is you can switch between 8-bit graphics and HD graphics, which just looks so cool. There's a Disney Tsum Tsum, I don't even know if that's how you say it, puzzle game coming out 2019, and I wrote in the notes, yay! Onanaki is a new game coming out summer 2019. It's from the guys who made I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere, so you know it's going to be a good JRPG if you like that stuff. Yoshi's Crafted World.
Yes, this is
World.
It.
I need to play. I haven't played the demo for this yet. I need to download that.
Very excited for your new Yoshi game.
But it's out March 29th. I am excited for that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Rune Factory 4 special. I don't even know what this is. I have no idea.
Literally no idea. I have no idea.
Even watching it, I have no idea. So Rune Factory 4 special is coming out this year, and Rune Factory 5 is coming. All right. Somebody hit the comment section below. Let me know. I have no idea what I don't know what I just said. I don't know what it is. Fire Emblem, that was the big thing that they hyped this up being about. I don't care about Fire Emblem at all. It looks way too confusing and involved. Not for me. Now this one, because we needed another battle royale game.
Yeah.
We got Tetris 99. Now this is the one battle royale that really I'm like, this would be fun, but I'm not a Switch Online subscriber. I just haven't.
Neither am I.
I haven't. I was hoping. That was the one thing that we didn't get in this that I was hoping was that they were going to finally confirm Super Nintendo games are coming to the Switch. If they were, and if the price wasn't going up for the online, I would have just said, all right, I'm just going to do it. They didn't. I definitely think it's coming. It's not like these people made it up from the code that they were pulling a month ago or whatever. It's there. But it seems like this game is just taking over. I love Tetris. I just hate that this is locked behind the Switch Online. But at some point I'll subscribe to Switch Online and I will play Tetris Battle Royale. I can't even believe I just said that I just Tetris Battle Royale. Dead by Daylight's coming out fall 2019. Deltarune Chapter 1 is out for free February 28th. This is, of course, the next game from the guys that did oh my god, I just blanked. What is it, Logan? Oh god. The role-playing game, the super popular 8-bit graphics. Oh my god. It's the one I keep telling Sean he needs to download. Oh my god. I'm an idiot. No, I need to play Cuphead.
You'll get your teeth kicked. I think you might rage quit Cuphead.
Yeah, we should do it. Sean and I should do it, if nothing else, just for the Let's Play. The hilarious.
I think it could be very similar to one of my personal favorite anythings you guys have ever done, which is when you did the Lost Levels.
Oh my god.
That video is still one of my favorite videos ever that you guys did. It is so, if you honestly, if you've made it an hour and 20 minutes into this hour and 50 minutes into this podcast, go to youtube.com/2playcar probably. Yep. And find Sean and Kev's Lost Levels Let's Play. I think it's it might be one off. Maybe there's 2 parts to it.
We did 3 of them, and I can never go back. I'm scarred for life.
Go watch it because it is some of the funniest Let's Play videos I've legitimately have ever watched. They're so because mainly just it's just them actually losing their minds.
It broke me. It broke me. Like I played that game a little bit when All Stars first came out way back in the 90s. Whew. But I didn't remember just how horrible it was. Until
it's great because you can see the moment where it happens. See where it's just they're just nah, we're done. We're just, but they're not done. They have to keep playing, and it's just it's so good.
It's horrible. Oh, by the way, it was Undertale. That's what I couldn't think of.
Yes.
Deltarune is by the makers of Undertale. That was, I just had a
favorite Courtney, Alex Neil, favorite games of all time. One of them.
I want to play
Undertale.
Yeah. Daemon X Machina was confirmed for summer 2019. There is a demo available for that game as well now. Does nothing for me, but it's there. Hellblade is coming out spring 2019, which means very soon. Logan, how in the hell is this even going to run on the Switch?
I honestly don't know. And it's one of the things where look, ultimately Hellblade to me is one of those games The Last of Us where I want as many things as possible. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with it being on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, whatever. Having said that, I don't know how this is going to run on the Switch. I legitimately don't know. I'm concerned that it might not be optimized spectacularly, that it might it might be a little chuggy or laggy or whatever. Because it was working on the PlayStation. I already had there were a few problems you could have, especially when it launched. So I don't know. I'm concerned, but also everybody, please play Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It is an incredible piece of storytelling, with an amazing character in Senua at the heart of it that actually changed me. Please play this video game. It is very, 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 very good. I would say maybe not on the Switch, but whatever it takes, play the game. It's very good.
Yeah. I still, it's still a blind spot for me. I need to go back and get it. Every time it pops up on a PlayStation sale, I look at it and then I just, usually when those PlayStation sales pop up, I see them and I'm like, ooh, that would be fun. And I just forget about it.
I do the same thing.
So
one of my old coworkers from back in Missouri recently got it on a sale and has been playing through it, and it gives me so much life. How much he's enjoying it is a weird word for Hellblade, but is getting out of it. It's a very, very, very good game.
Yep, I'm gonna play. I will play it this year at some point. That's
one of the
games on my list.
Is very, very sad.
Yeah. Unravel 2 is confirmed for March 22nd. Cute little game. Yay. It's coming out. Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered is coming to Switch a little bit later. It's coming out May 21st. Final Fantasy 9 is out now. Final Fantasy 7 is out March 26th. And Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, I don't know what that is out March 20th. Haven't you guys bought these games enough times already? Astral Chain is out August 30th. This is a new Switch exclusive from Platinum Games. It looks fun. It looks like a Platinum game for sure. And oh my god, Link's Awakening is getting remastered and it's coming out on the Switch, not the 3DS. The 3DS is officially dead. Taylor Swift, the Switch can't come to the phone because it's dead. And I'm so happy. Like, I love my 3DS.
The reference.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love my 3DS. Yeah. But it's time to put it out to pasture. You can still have games come out here and there and indie games or whatever, but like, you have got the Switch has almost been out for 2 years now. It is portable. You have got to put all your development into that. And I remember to report, like I was tweeting to Adam and some of the guys here, I remember a report that we talked about on the podcast almost 2 years ago that they were moving the 3DS Zelda team over to the Switch, but nobody knew what that meant. Now we know what it means. By far, this is now my most anticipated game for the rest of the year.
Wow. I mean, you're a 2D Zelda guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I tweeted out ahead of it. I was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to watch the direct because I was taking Noah to get his allergy shots. I was going to be driving. But I said, if anything Zelda happens, just let me know, guys. And then Nick Shafani here tweeted, he's like, somebody better go check on Kevin. And then all of a sudden I get a text from Sean and just said, oh my God. I'm like, wait, what's happening? What's happening? And I got home as it was happening. And he said, they did Link's Awakening. And I couldn't believe it. So I love the art style of this. It's beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Link's Awakening is a blind spot for me. I played it on an emulator not too long ago, but I didn't get all the way through it. I got to a part where there was a lot of, it's a slow moving game. And there was like a quest where I had to go from like one side of the map to the other and back and forth to bring something to somebody and then something else back to somebody else. And it was just like, I'm going to go play something else. And I never went back to it. But like all I've wanted ever since I first played Link Between Worlds was give me another top-down Zelda game. I always say 2D Zelda game when it's not really, this is obviously a 3D Zelda game. But what I mean when I say that, and everybody knows, is I mean, give me a top-down Zelda game. We're getting it. I am so happy. So this is by far my most anticipated game that we know of that's official for this year. Obviously, if Last of Us 2 comes out, then okay, all bets are off. But
I don't think, oh man.
I don't think
that's another conversation. I don't think it is either.
Yeah. But yeah, so for me, that game right there is why this was probably one of my favorite directs ever. Super Mario Maker 2 is huge.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Box Boy is something I've missed out on. That would be fun to play. And Bloodstained
Yoshi
finally getting release date, and then Yoshi as well. What are your Gatorade get hype moments for out of this direct, Logan?
So yeah, I mean, like, it is Yoshi. I love Yoshi. I'm very excited for Yoshi. I think that game is actually going to be like a ton of fun, but more importantly, like, it's just going to like be like a really good, feel good game. For sure, the boys are going to love the game for you. Like, sure, like, there's no way they don't. But like, I like Captain Toad. I mean, I probably play
his name is Captain Todd.
Yeah, my apologies. Box Boy and Box Hero is one that I also is kind of a blind spot for me. Okay. And so it could be fun to do that. But Super Mario Maker too, right? Like I didn't play the first one, right? So it is a thing being like to get to especially because again, for me, it's just like the opposite of you, where it's like yours is like Link at the end, and me, it's Mario at the beginning, where it's like I'm a Mario guy. So that is the pop for me, where it's like absolutely to get to like make my own Mario levels. Is like, yes, this is what I've wanted to do for 25 years, kind of thing. Now it's like absolutely, like let's go. And like the 3D world stuff is like okay. But like it's everything else in that game that is gonna be like just amazing, right? And as somebody who like loved Little Big Planet, it's just that, but with like a series that I've loved for 3 decades. And so it's like, yeah, all right, I'm here for this very much. And then I also get Yoshi as well. So it's perfect. And like Link's Awakening is one where it's like I could do that, I could play that, and not have to play Link to the Past. You know what I mean? Makes it easy.
It's one of those games that like Altano, he said that's his favorite of all time.
Yep. Which is a hot take.
Yeah, and I love that dude, and I respect him so much that I'm like, okay, I feel like I owe it to Brian to really play through this game. I don't think there's any way that the original Game Boy game could be better than Link to Past or the original Zelda or any of the other, frankly, a lot of the other Zelda games I love. Minish Cap is one that doesn't get a lot of love because that was a Capcom developed Zelda game. I love Minish Cap. That game's a lot of fun with a cool mechanic with you shrinking down and stuff. But I'm so excited for Link's Awakening. I can't wait to get my hands on Bloodstained finally, now that I've been sucked into the whole.
I'm curious about that one for sure.
I'm just glad it's finally coming out this year, because Sean and I were both like, until they actually give us a date, this could be a 2020 game. We might be playing this on the damn PS5. Yeah. But it was a very good direct. I was very excited for it.
If the point of a direct is to get people hyped, it very much nailed that. It got people hyped in a lot of different ways.
Yes, absolutely. Now it's time for the wrap up. A few other things here. So Hollow Knight all of a sudden got a sequel already, which blows my mind. Hollow Knight Silk Song was announced. It is a full sequel. It started out as a paid DLC, and then they said it expanded exponentially as they kept building on it. It's a new world. There's 150 new enemies. There's new towns, new bosses, and new quests, obviously. You play as Hornet this time. You don't play as... I don't even know what the Hollow Knight... I don't even know what his name was. Was his name Hollow Knight? I played like 10 hours. That's what I want. That's what I want is the Shovel Knight sequel. Damn it, Yacht Games. I love you guys for everything that you've done, for all the Kickstarter backers and all that. After you get King Knight's campaign out of the way and their Smash version, give us Shovel Knight 2, make it 16-bit graphics.
It's been so long, I feel like, since Shovel Knight came out.
It came out 2014.
So long.
But Hollow Knight, so it's only coming out on PC and Switch so far. They said it could come to more carriers. I've got cell phones on the brain. More systems down the road. I assume it will. It'll probably be like it was with the first Hollow Knight. And they also announced that the original Hollow Knight has now sold 2.8 million copies. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like that game. It made my top 10 list. I think I was Metroidvania'd out this year because I had gone through Chasm and The Messenger before I played that. And I also
Messenger.
Best soundtrack since Shovel Knight, by the way. It was a crime that didn't get nominated for the Game Awards. That was the one thing that I was like, come on, guys. That was the best. That was the best.
I'll have you know that when IP did its best like soundtrack, best music category for Game of the Year, I was the guy who's been like, we need to talk about The Messenger. Because like Alex is gonna just be like, I love The Messenger. I'm Alex O'Neill now. Hi. Hello, I live in Maryland. He was like, I love Messenger. It made me cry, obviously, but like, I'm gonna fight for other games ahead of it for music. And I was like, Messenger might be my favorite music soundtrack of last year. It was so good, and like, I love the Messenger. And like, obviously, like, Jen is a friend of the show for everything for IP, but like, Messenger is fucking dope. It's so good. I'm sorry again. I guess I'm the worst podcast guest. But it is so good. I get too excited about the Messenger. It's so good. It is such a good video game. It is beautiful, but that soundtrack is like, come on, guys.
The funny thing is, so I've gone back now that we're back on audio services around the globe. I like to go back and listen to some of our old podcasts, and one of them, like episode 12 or 13 or something, I can't remember what it was, but it was one of our early podcasts. We were talking about how cool it would be if a video game went from 8-bit graphics to 16-bit graphics.
Yes.
It's so funny that like we had no idea the Messenger was even a thing back then, and now, because what we were thinking is maybe Shovel Knight 2 could do something with that, but now the Messenger beat him to it, and it's just that game's so good.
Like inside baseball, like fun fact here on the podcast, especially if you made it 2 hours into the show, listener, but like mainly for Kev, is at PAX East 2018, the Messenger was like the game of the show, where like everybody was buzzing and talking about it, and it was a thing of like running, like we all made appointments to see it just because we're friends with Jen. And she's way too good to us. And so we were like, we're going to check the Messenger out. It looks dope. And it's like, I'm here for an 8-bit platformer for sure. And so was Alex. And so we went there, and like we went to our appointment together, and like they like obviously can break the game. Like they took us like, all right, here's the Messenger, playing the first like level or whatever, get to the end of that. And then it's like, do you want to see like later on in the game though? And we're like, yeah, sure. And they showed it, like, cause that game changes genres. Like it becomes like a Metroidvania, but it doesn't start off like that. And they showed us that, and like Alex literally like his brain broke, and I sat there like behind him, just being like slack-jawed, being like, "What is this?" And then they took us to the final boss in the game when you have all of your abilities and equipment. Yeah, we get the game spoiled for us, I guess technically, but like they showed us everything and like all the abilities you have and all the stuff. They didn't do that for most of it. They did it for us because we knew them, and like we were like, "Oh my God." And we went back upstairs to the press room and sat in that press room and just spread the word of the Messenger, and made everybody at IP go play it. We made everybody that were like friends with that were outside at other outlets play it. We like wouldn't shut up about it to everybody, and like it just became like the thing everybody talked about. And then at PAX West, where like it had come out like 3 days beforehand, we were like, everybody play The Messenger again. It's such a good video game. That game is so ingenious and clever and creative, and it does like that is like probably still the coolest like demo I've ever had at like a press event. It was like just like breaking the game, being like, let's just show you some secrets, and just being like, oh my god, video games, man.
We've got more coming this year. They got that free deal they announced at the Kind of Funny showcase.
And it looks really cool, yeah.
And also, by the way, tell Jen to put it on PS4 so I can platinum this game. I will buy it again. I will definitely buy it again. I know it's going to come to PS4. It's going to at some point, but I will buy it and I will platinum this.
How hard do you think that platinum would be?
Well, what I'm hoping they do is a fair platinum, which is more, level up everything, collect everything, find all the hidden green things, blah, blah, blah. But if they do some kind of a speed run thing where you got to beat it in 2 hours, then I'm out.
I don't like things like I'm fine with. I don't like when games make me play a game multiple times. Like, I don't like that's it's like if I can just play a game and platinum in like one go, I'm here for that. But like, I don't love having to be like play the game 4 different times. But it's like I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. Also, I don't have a bad trophy list like Mega Man Legacy Collection because it's trash. It's a trash trophy list.
Yeah, that's one Colin has always. That's always haunted him.
Terrible trophy list.
Trophy list. Yep. Okay, next up, I don't really. Jim Ryan was announced as the president of SIE. I don't really know. Like, if someone were to say, "Hey, Neil Druckmann is leaving Sony. He's leaving Naughty Dog to go do one of Xbox's new studios," I can tell you what that means and how big a deal that is. I don't know what this means, if it's a big deal or not. It's one of those things. Obviously, leadership changes happen and everything. It is what it is. Definitely noteworthy, but I think it's definitely not in my realm of expertise to say what it actually means, but it happened. So
it's a big deal. Congrats.
And then last week, also speaking of Greg Miller, the Dice World, and my game of the year, Logan's game of the year, more my game of the year. It's my third favorite game of all time, is where I ranked it.
Okay,
behind
Metal Gear. That was the thing, because again, you were a God of War game. That's the thing for me, where it's like I would love to sit down and pick your brain about this later on. Where it's like you were the guy who I remember we're having discussions when I stayed in Memphis for like that weekend, and it was like I liked God of War a lot, but I was always like Kratos sucks as a character after God of War 1. Like, and God of War 1 he's good, and God of War 2 and 3 he's bad character. And you were like, no man, like he's good. I still think he's good. And then to get to the point now where it's like the whole industry is being like Kratos is a phenomenal character, and it's a great moment. I feel like
I've always defended him.
Yeah,
I think,
and the God of War games in general. Yeah,
I think he is a very always obviously now, but before now, like he has always been a very deep character and a very just interesting character and everything. I think maybe the writing around him was not the best, but I think him as a character has always fascinated me. I think he's a great character. I think people that just focus on the Calliope and Clarice like that, you're kind of trying to go least common denominator there, and that's always I defended him on a local podcast here also with the Blur Without Fear, Ernie and those guys as well. But yeah, this game was. My hype level for it was through the roof from the first time I saw it at E3 2016.
Great video game,
and it exceeded that.
It's a great
but
I want to go back and maybe I'll just do that instead of playing any SNES games. I want to go back and play God of War again. I haven't played it since it came out. Because like just the effect. I mean, like obviously it's your third favorite game of all time, and Greg and Trevor and Sony, who like what it did to them is incredible to be like in that kind of collective moment. And I would love to play this game again. I might do that this summer. Just play through God of War again.
Yeah, and just the way that they did the writing,
it's incredible.
Was so well. It's so well done, and it's like when I think of Kratos as a dad. Obviously, I'm a dad, but it's like the whole thing of you want to pass on the best parts of you to your kids, and you don't want to pass on any of the bad things. And he has a lot of bad things in his past, and it's just like. It was so well done. There's so many great moments in this game. So
absolutely.
Almost unspoken and
yes. Again, so many quiet moments that don't need words that convey so much depth and power to them, right? And like you hit the nail on the head for me, or like the theme of the game where it's like wanting to kind of transfer on the best parts, right? And not the sins of the father, right? And like it for me is huge spoiler alert for God of War. Huge, just mega spoiler alert for God of War. So get out now if you haven't played the game. But like whenever you kill Boulder at the end of the game, and you kind of have him on, as Freya's kind of watching on, and she's like, she won't. She'll let him kill her. And Kratos is kind of talking to Atreus, and he's like, "We have to be better than this, right? Like, we have to be better than what we've been for all of our history. Right? Like, we can't just be gods in the cycle of killing and murder and shit. Like, we have to be better. We have these extraordinary powers in us. We have to be better. We can't do this anymore. We can't be these people anymore. We can't just let the cycle of bloodshed in." Which also goes into like what I think, like my pitch for like what God of War's kind of trilogy will be about. But it is Kratos very much being like, we are putting an end to this kind of era of gods like this. Like, we cannot be these people anymore. He in particular puts like all this onto Atreus, like, we have to be better. You have to be better than this. The game is incredible in terms of what it does with like family dynamics, and in particular father son, which obviously affects both of us very strongly. Is literally, in your case, a father and a son, and in my case, is a son. Yeah. God of War is an incredible video game in terms of what its story does.
And then also, like, I could go on. We could do a whole. I did a whole. Like,
we could do a whole
podcast about this game, but like the other thing too is it's like when you think back to that time when Atreus is starting to get the rage of the Titans or the rage of the gods, or whatever you want to call it, based on what game it is. But when he's starting to get that rage, and Kratos sees it him, and he's like, "Oh my God, no! I've put this into him," and I. As a dad, I can see when I do see some of my traits that I'm not the most proud of coming out of my kids. It's the same thing. It's like, oh God, no, I can't let this happen. I have to stop this. The game's just so
great. Awesome. It's slaughtered. Yeah. Dice.
Oh gosh. But yeah, so it won Game of the
9 out of 23,
and 9 total out of 23 categories. So it also won, in addition to Game of the Year, Outstanding Achievement in Art Direction, Character for Kratos, Original Music, Sound Design, Story, Game Design, and Game Direction. And it also won Adventure Game of the Year. Adventure Game of the Year is such a weird thing.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 5 won a few years ago. I'm like, that's not an adventure game. Adventure games they're like point and click games, and what they like evolved into with our quote unquote walking simulators and stuff. Those to me are adventure.
It's a weird category. Yeah.
It's an action adventure game, but that is completely different from an adventure game. So that's just always, I'm glad it won another award, but I just think that's a weird one. Celeste was the only other game to win more than one award. It won Game of the Year and Action Game of the Year. It's one of those where I just need to play it on assist mode to see what the big deal is, but it's just like when a game fights me as much as this does, I'm like, I don't want to play this game. I
beat Celeste almost out of spite. I did not love. I guess don't let me jade you, but also maybe let me jade you a little bit. Like, I did not love Celeste. It did not have the impact it had on most people. I was like, this. I feel like other games did this story better, and like it's taken like anxiety and mental health. I feel like it actually wasn't very there. It felt kind of fluff and just kind of plashed on, but it didn't feel great. So I think you can ultimately probably skip Celeste if you want to. It didn't do a lot for me.
Okay.
I will say that
that's where I'm at right now.
It's got a neat soundtrack, but like I don't think you need to play a game just for a neat soundtrack. Just right. The soundtrack.
Right. And Red Dead 2 won the award that it definitely should win. It won Technical Achievement. I can't argue with that. One of the most technically impressive games I've ever seen, even though I don't really ever want to play it.
Yeah. And
that leads us to the Did You Know section of the podcast. I'm not going to sing. It's bad.
Did you know?
It's so we've gone through a few different things. I'm just not. Sean will sing when he gets.
It's the back of the box.
It was the best. That was the best soundbite. We've been struggling to come up with a new Did You Know thing because we've retired the back of the box. But yeah,
I thought about do my own back of the box to surprise you, but then we can think of like, man, that's gonna be really hard to then show you the back of the box. I don't feel like it's like a whole thing. I want you to know I wanted to, and whenever later this year that I'm on the show live in person in Memphis, sweet. I will have a live back of the box challenge waiting for you and Sean.
We'll bring it out of retirement for you.
Exactly.
But I've got a special Did You Know? This one's for you, Logan, because I know you hate Zelda 1. I'm kidding. It's a meme in and of itself now.
It is a meme in and of itself at this point.
But did you know
in
the original design for the original Legend of Zelda, you were going to start the game with your sword. You weren't going to have to walk into the cave.
Okay.
But, and you will like this, what they found out from playtesters is that the game was too abstract. That played, like, people that were playing the game were like, I don't know what to do. I'm just walking around. I don't know what to do. So what they decided was the reason they did It's Dangerous to Go Alone, take this and put the sword in that first cave is because they realized that, wait, if you start on this screen, you've got nothing. But then you realize, oh, there's a hole over here. If I walk in that hole, I go down here. Holy crap, I found a sword. Okay, so I guess I really need to explore this world. So quick, it's just a little tidbit, but that's one of the cool things about The Legend of Zelda is that they realized that early on, before they actually finished the game and everything, they're like, if we want people to know what this game is, back in 1986, I think, when it came out, like they said, we have to invite people to know that they need to explore this world and give them some kind of motivation. So that's why they didn't start the game with the sword for Link.
I like that idea of like we have to invite people to explore, invite people to kind of discover the world. That's a cool kind of ethos to have for the game. I'll give Zelda 1 that.
Thank you. It's a great game. You should play it. And
I've already beaten the game.
I know. You should play it again.
Literally, we're like,
don't do the second quest. Second quest is horribly hard.
I'm not gonna play it. I probably just won't play the game again. I did the one thing. I was like, that's all right. I will say this. The kind of the Twitter journey is a kind of updated beating each dungeon as it did, and then like the actual like the feeling of actually beating Ganon and just being like both like I'm done with this and also like I did this. It was a pretty great finish. And like I did this. I beat this 30-year-old obscure, just terrible, just nonsensical game. And I did it. It was great. Like it was a great feeling. Like I could definitely have imagined being the kid being like, thank God I'm done with this, but also like I did it. Like it is a good feeling in that regard.
Well, and he is an awesome.
That's gotta be the hardest Zelda game for sure. Just in terms of like obtuseness.
Yeah, by far the most.
Yeah, that's
Because the other ones, I mean, they hold your hand to a point. Like I was saying, like A Link to the Past, like you pull up the map and it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It tells you which dungeon to go to next and stuff. It's much whereas Zelda, it's just like,
even small stuff like the walls have cracks in them that you can blow up. Whereas like that's always my thing for Zelda 1. So like it's just
bomb every wall.
It's literally just impossible. Yeah, you just bomb every wall. And it's like I would be if I was could have been like this is dumb. Like I'm just bombing every wall and it's like. The people who like first beat the game were like lunatics. They just have to drop bombs everywhere, bomb, like bushes, walls, anything. It was like this is crazy talk, people.
Yeah, the only good thing is when the only easy part about that is the only walls that you can bomb in the dungeons were always in the middle, whether it was top, bottom, left or right. It was always in the middle. You could never bomb anywhere else on the wall. It was always right in the middle of the wall. So that helped you out a little bit. But yeah, when you're out in the wild,
if you don't know everywhere. Yeah, it's just like, oh man. And like
sometimes I forget where I'm like, wait, is it this screen or the next screen? And I'm like, oh crap.
Well, and it's that thing too of like you could be like, oh, we don't need to beat the game, but it's like you do because like at least one dungeon, literally you need to like bomb like to discover, and it's like this is just crazy talk, people.
It's a great game. I think I bumped it down from number 2. I think I bumped it to number 8 on my top 10 list because that was more realistic. It was more
Metal Gear Solid 3, Link to the Past, God of War.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love them. They're God.
Never played a Metal Gear game.
Konami, stop screwing around and give me Metal Gear Solid 3 and the Fox engine. Don't just make freaking pachinko machines, you guys.
I would not hold your breath, unfortunately.
I think they will remake something. Or they will let Blue Point do it. We will get a remake of some kind of Metal Gear Solid game, but I don't know what it'll be. I want it to be 3 because it's my favorite game of all time, and I just want to play it with 5's controls because they're perfect. Whew. That was a doozy, Logan.
Yeah. That was a 2-hour and 20-minute podcast. Not the longest podcast we've been on, but we're getting close.
No, we've done longer. Our episode 50 drunken live stream was 4 hours.
I know.
We thought it was 2.5, and we're like, wait, how is this great?
Get more homework for you, audio listener / viewer. If you haven't seen it, go watch that episode 50.
Get us the view.
Watch it.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, go watch it. Don't listen to it. Watch it. You have to. Yeah, it is so good. It's such a great, slow unraveling of two individuals.
When it hits,
amazing.
it's hard.
It's amazing.
But that's it for episode 125 of the Two Player Co-op podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Logan, for being here. This was a lot of fun. Like I said at the top, it's been way too long.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm glad we got to do this. We could definitely do it more often if I had internet out in the recording studios, but it's tough to squeeze me and Sean both in here in this upstairs bedroom. But
makes sense.
You didn't do any cheap plugs at the beginning other than just, you did Irrational Passions.
Irrationalpassions.com.
Let everybody know they can find you everywhere, Twitter, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, other things, I guess, at Logie. Not Loggy. It's okay. Everybody makes a mistake. Kev did. Everybody does it. Yeah, it's totally fine. I didn't make the nickname. My cousin did. He was a child, so blame him. It's fine. You can pick on him. He's a baby. At Leffy Logie. I am at Irrational Passions. Over there doing previews, reviews, features, podcasts, interviews, input. A video game news show is a podcast I co-host alongside Jarrett Green and George Cruz Alvarez. We just hit our 80th episode. Which is crazy. There's a video game news show. People seem to like it, which is nice. You should go check out that. Go check out certain episodes I would recommend. We interviewed one Geneviève Saint-Ange-Miller from Papa Agenda. It is still probably one of my favorite podcasts I've done. Jen is obviously amazing and is way too nice to the world at large, but in particular us at IP. We also did the Inputties, which is where we just made a award show that kind of was making fun of award shows, but it was super fun because it was the one time of year where George let us just get wild and crazy and break the rules. So go listen to that as well. Those are both very good. Otherwise, you can just follow our IP. Anything that goes live, I pretty much have my hand in as a senior staff member and managing editor for the site. So just do all that. Everybody is very talented there. And then this month we have, video essay should go live. We have Let's Plays that have been one of my big creative forces we've been doing at Let's Plays. Me and Mike did a Let's Play of A Way Out, and that is when we can see me. It's my turn now. Slowly lose my mind as we play through that game. In particular, the end, the last episode, where we realize what the end of that game is just me in stunned silence for a long period of time. So you should go watch that. Mike did a really good job in the last edit. If at the very least, watch the last 2 minutes of episode 15, the last episode, because Mike did a really good supercut of me and Joseph Ferris together, and is very good. So go check all of that out as well. My Resident Evil 2 review went live. I talked about it a lot in this episode. Go read that. I would appreciate it. And then just, we're out here on the internet. PAX East is next month, which is a month away whenever you listen to this, probably. So be excited for that as well. Kevin, what do you got?
Please be excited. Obviously, you can find me and all the guys here in Memphis at nerd901.com. So go to nerd901 for all things nerdy in Memphis and around the globe. Nick, I still got to get the tagline right. I got to do the new tagline. I'm sorry. Obviously, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Kevin White 24. Sean is still alive. He's at Real Sean White. Together, we're at 2player_co-op. We obviously, I don't know if you're listening to this or watching or whatever, but if you are still listening or watching, go to youtube.com/2playercoop, hit the like button on the video, hit the subscribe button. Even if you never watch us on YouTube and you just listen on audio, it would mean the world if you can go over to youtube.com/2playercoop. I'm losing my voice, and hit the subscribe button. It goes a long way towards getting us to our goal of 1,000.
Yeah, I guess I should have said that too. I'm bad at this. Go also, like and subscribe and follow us on Twitter for irrationalpassions.com. Especially if you do nothing, follow us on Twitter. George Cruz is an amazing social media guy who's literally getting a degree in this, and he's very good at it, and to make him feel good. And George should feel good because he's a good boy to do that. And also subscribe to Input. And if you don't like what you hear on Input, be sure to give your negative feedback to Moises Tavares from okbeast.com. He wants to hear it. Go find him on the streets of New York City in some bodega and just tell him what you don't like about Input. He's very excited to hear it. He will appreciate it, and let him know that.
Awesome.
I won't do it. If you don't like what you heard in this episode, I want you to tweet at Real Donald Trump and let him know what you didn't like about this episode of Two Player Co-op. That's where we're at. Who else can we tweet at? You know what I mean?
Build the wall around the podcast.
I'm going to make the best podcast. It's going to be bigly.
Our goal this year is to get more bigly. Yeah. I said something the other week on a podcast with Sean. I said something about being big at E3, and he just started laughing because he thought I said biggity 3, and I'm like, biggity. Oh yeah, I guess I did. If I say it too fast, it sounds like biggity. But yeah, that's it. This has been a lot of fun. Episode 125. I can't believe we've gotten that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like as an aside, like absolutely, congratulations to 125 episodes. That is incredible, Kev. You should be very, very proud. I
did like 8 episodes last year when we were just doing YouTube, but yeah.
I was here in the pre-YouTube days, pre-video days, listener. I mean, that's how long I've been trucking along here on these journey.
Almost 3 years, because I think we put up our own home review.
I was gonna say
April. I think it was April, so we're getting close to 3
We
years.
knew from the minute, like right at that second, that we were gonna have some divisive gaming opinions out here. Gone Home's a great video game, but yeah, it's absolutely incredible. 125 episodes. Like that's a thing that, especially having done this for so long, like so many people start up things and then stop after a few weeks, or 5 or 10 episodes, or 15 episodes, 20 episodes. But I mean, this has been years. I mean, literally since 2015, you guys have been doing this. That is crazy talk. 125 episodes of this podcast. Should be very proud of that. You and Sean. I mean,
so, thank you. I'm glad Sean decided to move here. Otherwise, this would not be a thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I mean, obviously Sean isn't here, but like, props to Sean. I love Sean very dearly. But like, guys, killing it constantly, doing so much stuff, doing Let's Plays way before IP was doing them, and like even remotely cohesive fashion. Mario Mondays, great. Go check that out as well. They did some video reviews. They were pretty good. If I say so myself, there you go. Check all that stuff out.
I appreciate it.
Also, check out the Nerd 901 guys. They're all cool.
They're all awesome. We got such a great bunch of guys. And Ernie just continues to blow up. He's over 17,000 subs, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's killing it. Absolutely killing it.
And like Nick is there too. And like, unfortunately, like I think he's an LSU fan. We try not to hold that against him too much.
If you
go Gators.
See Logan's hat. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's not just the hat. I also literally have a Gator. I'm wrapping a blanket as well. I know where I come from. I know my pride. Go Gators, man.
Well, yeah. Hopefully my Giants will be better next year. I don't want.
If it makes you feel better, now that we're at the end of the podcast, we can do whatever we want. At least you're not a Jacksonville Jag. If you like, whenever you get sad, listener, just hold on to this fact. At least you're not a Jacksonville Jaguar fan. And if you are, well, I got nothing for you.
I'm sorry.
I share your pain. It's fine. I mean, I was born and raised in that city. It's okay. It gets better. Every now and again, you make it to the AFC Championship game. Every 20 years, you get there. Shout out to Mark Brunell, Fred Taylor. Shout out
Tony Baselli.
Yes, but I was actually going to give you one that you would like too. Shout out to Tom Coughlin.
Oh yeah, I love Tom Coughlin.
Who built that team and then left to go to the Giants, and we've been the same since.
Yep. And came back and yeah.
Guess it.
Won't be surprised if Eli ends his career there. We'll see.
In Jacksonville?
Yeah. But I don't know. It seems if we really do
because
Haskins this year, then I won't be surprised if Eli's like, I'm good. Can y'all just let me peace out here?
I just want Eli to retire as a Giant. I just want Eli to retire because
he's my favorite football player of all time. So
I get that. It makes sense.
I don't want him to go anywhere for sure.
Yeah, retire. It's a Giant. That's what he should be.
Yep. All right. That's been a lot of fun.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Logan,
Thank you for inviting me on. Absolutely, Kev.
Absolutely. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yes.
Appreciate all you taking the time to listen to us. And until the next time, I guess I'll just take you out. Thank you for playing.
Wait, hey, I can throw a pin. I can catch it. Is that still a trick that you guys do?
Do it.
See that? You can't look at it, right? That's what Sean does. He doesn't look at the pin.
You just flip it up and just.
We'll just say I caught it. We'll edit that. I caught the pin.
He caught it.
I caught it. Great. Yeah. Thank you for playing.
Bye, guys.